Do you guys want to hear my ending for Endgame?
Is it spoilery?
It might be. I haven't seen Endgame. I don't know.
Okay, John's going to spoil Endgame via his own imagination.
I have not seen Endgame. I haven't seen Infinity War. I've seen like 3 Marvel movies, but I am very clever, so there's a chance I might just figure all this out, okay?
Go on.
Okay, here's what I think happens. So Thanos, whatever, dead. I don't care. So Doctor Strange is there, and he's like, we did it. We beat Thanos. And then he looks up into the air, and the camera turns around. It's the fucking Death Star. So then he gets on his phone, and he's like, looks like we're going to need to call in the big guns now. We need your help. Cut to a dark room, and we see a gloved hand holding a phone. It zooms out, and it's Bugs Bunny. And he goes, "What's up, Doc?"
I hate you I hate that so much. I hate you.
Okay. But I also have a post-credits moment that I think will bring it all back in.
Okay. Wait, are we... Okay, back to the Death Star. Are we talking like
Shut the
original
fuck up.
trilogy?
Shut the fuck up. So then anyway...
It's the one from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, like
no one cares. They're all the same.
Are they fighting Darth Vader
Dark
or Kylo?
room, okay? Dark room. We just hear. Looks like they took out Thanos. Street Sharks, roll out. Welcome to the Let's Fight a Boss video game podcast. The world's weakest video game podcast. I am sitting here with arms like noodles and barely an ounce of strength in his entire body. He is nearly completely flat. It's Bryan.
I have pissed myself because a dandelion blew off near me.
And to my right, having recently lost her battle with a very slight gust of wind, it's Niamh.
Straight into traffic.
With you always, I'm your host, Josh. Can see it every time.
It's episode 99.
Episode 99. Can't believe it's almost all over.
One more episode, everyone, and we're finally free.
I think the fact that this podcast got to nearly 100 episodes is a really dark statement on the state of humanity.
Maybe we should sabotage the 100th episode.
Oh, I'm sure we will, whether we try or not.
But like we just don't release it, or that it's like an MP3 file that's 3 hours long, but it's completely silent except for 1 hour, 45 minutes and 32 seconds into it. You just hear, and that's it.
I think some podcast apps cut out the silence, so you can't even do long waiting jokes, which kind of sucks.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
But remember on CDs, if you played the last track and let it run for hours and hours, it used to be a secret track.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Do you know what was some real advanced shit? On some CDs, you could rewind before track 1 into minus time, and there'd be a secret song there as well.
That was so fun. People don't have that fun now of letting a CD run to track 99.
Well, that's because if shit like that happens now, it's up on Twitter in like within 3 hours of happening, and just that's it. Everyone knows about it.
Kind of takes the magic out a little bit.
Bryan,
Mm-hmm.
tell us about Barry. Why isn't Endgame on here?
Because I have nothing to say about it.
Oh, really?
Why? It's like the highest grossing movie of all time
Just
now.
go on Twitter and read some just type in Endgame and read 10 posts about it. There's your fucking selection.
I wanted to hear what you thought of it, because I'm never going to see it.
If you haven't seen it by now, then you don't need to see it.
Yeah.
That's my it's fine. I liked 50% of it, and then I didn't like the other 50%, just like Thanos. So there you go. Like that's my review.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was actually really caught off guard by like the hype for Endgame. Like I knew people were going to be excited. I didn't know people were going to be this excited. Star Wars levels of excitement that people have for it.
I think it's gone beyond Star Wars.
It's definitely beyond.
Star Wars feels way less than this.
I guess when I say Star Wars, I mean like when the first 3 films were coming out and everyone was losing their shit. That's what this seems like.
I did see this movie opening night in a packed room. There was a lot of people on their own, including myself, because they had nobody else to go with. But we all kind of bonded together, more so other people than me, and they were gasping at cheering at all the bits and pieces, which was...
See, I'd love to be that into it. Like, I think that'd be so much fun.
I was happy for them. I was just kind of like, right, okay.
But, like, I guess I've just always had a weird relationship with the Marvel stuff because I just hated Avengers so passionately.
Me too.
It's not there. The first Avengers isn't very good.
No.
And the second Avengers is even worse.
I just feel like there's an emotional barrier between me and the characters, and the plots never have clicked with me either. So it's like, I don't feel like I know anything about them despite so many films.
Yeah. And despite me really loving like a lot of those comics, like The Ultimates is one of my favorite comics. I fucking love that thing. Brian, why don't you tell us about something you actually want to talk about?
Yes.
Barry season 2.
Yeah, you guys watching Barry?
No. But I will.
Season 2, I think there's one more episode left, and it's fantastic.
Awesome.
He made a rule for himself at the very end of season 1 where he said, I'm not allowed to kill anyone anymore.
Wait, you need to explain again what Barry is, because that statement is just like,
okay.
He's
Barry?
a primary school teacher.
Barry is a depressed hitman who is in LA after bailing on a hit and now has joined an acting drama club. And he's suffering from PTSD, and this is helping him come to terms with it. And the criminal underworld keeps asking him to come back and do more hits, and
He's a very good hitman.
he's excellent. But at the same time, he's also trying to cover up his tracks because clues keep getting left behind. So there was a couple of there was a couple of kind of like open-ended bits at the end of season 1, and him kind of promising himself that he's out of that now. He just wants to do the acting. And they've done a very clever thing where in season 2 he hasn't killed anyone, but he's indirectly responsible for several murders because he keeps ending up in these situations that he kind of has to like creatively get himself out of, or something with like a sense of misdirection will happen where he doesn't kill anyone, and it's done super funny. It's done super well.
I remember definitely like towards the end of the first season, there's some moments where he's really out, like he's out, like
Yeah.
he's not doing that stuff anymore, and stuff just tilts ever so slightly, and it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
It's so good.
There's 2 episodes this season that have been really, really good. There's one where it flashbacks to his experiences in the war in Iraq and the first person he's ever murdered. And that's a really, really, really difficult episode to watch, but it's done super well. And Bill Hader, who was just like an SNL actor, it's cool to see him with some range. Like, you know how, like, I guess people like Bill Murray or whoever would have been SNL, but then they kind of move on to, like, bigger roles or that aren't just sketches, I guess.
Yeah.
Aren't just, like, funny characters. And, like, Barry's funny, but it's like, the show is funny. The character is super fucking depressing. But then there's another episode that is kind of like a bottle episode, but it's more like it's a 30-minute episode about a fight. And it's a very, very good fight. And not all the main characters are in that episode, only the necessary characters for that particular story. And you can see that they, like, it's definitely a season 2 of a show where they're using the, like, foundations of the writing that they already have, but they've definitely got twice the amount budget-wise, so they can kind of experiment a bit.
Oh, that sounds great.
Because I know Atlanta season 2 had the same thing where
Yeah.
they were able to kind of take a couple risks with some of the episodes and maybe, you know, kind of test the audience's patience, but then kind of reward them with something completely different at the same time.
Yeah, totally. That sounds good.
It's very, very good. I'm very much looking forward to the last episode.
Excellent. Niamh,
yes,
you've been watching The Exorcist TV series.
I have. I've been watching everything Exorcist, really. So I've been watching with Michelle, John's girlfriend. And
Fiance.
Sorry, fiance.
You have to say the...
I was about to get fucking pissed there for a minute.
And we started like a whole Exorcist journey. So we originally started with The Exorcist. This is my relationship with Michelle. We started with the season 1 of the TV show. Little did we know, season 1 is a prequel to the 1973 movie. So it follows Reagan, who was the little girl from the original film who gets possessed. It follows her as an adult woman who has 2 young daughters, and one of them becomes possessed, and they have to call in 2 priests. One is really sexy in Spanish, and he's kind of like he's really morally confused about where he is with his priesthood, because he's like in love with a woman, and he's like, what am I gonna do? Is it the calling or is it this woman? And it's kind of his inner turmoil between that. And then there's also an English priest, and he's kind of edgy, and he wears a leather jacket, and he got excommunicated, so he's an ex-priest. And he's like top dog exorcist, and he kind of is going around doing rogue exorcisms. So so the 2 of them get together to exorcise this demon who is like Reagan's daughter. It's fun. It's a really it's campy in all the right ways. There is a subplot where the Vatican has been infiltrated by demons, and there is a demon cult trying to destroy all the exorcists within the Vatican.
I really love that stuff. I don't want to say what show it is because it's a big spoiler, but one of my favorite, there's a show where someone knows that the head of an organization, basically the head of a government, is like this demon. And there's an amazing scene where the character basically in front of the entire government is like, this person's a fucking demon. And all the ministers and all the heads of states are just like, yeah, yes, we're aware. And it's so good.
That's why we elected that person.
Yeah. Sorry, Niamh.
This is like that as well. This other priest, Bennett, is trying to undercover this cult within the Vatican, and so much of it has been overtaken, and it's bleeding into politics, and it's a really fun way of so this is obviously deeply Catholic because it's about exorcisms, and it's comfortable with the priests having their faith, but also critical of the Catholic Church. It strikes a really good balance where I think if you were no matter where you are with your feelings on religion, you'd be comfortable with it. You know what I mean? It plays both sides in a really compelling way. They talk about mental health and the idea of exorcism as well, and it does it in a way that you never feel kind of weird about it. There's a few things I didn't like as a prequel with the film. In the film, because I rewatched that recently, it's the 1973 film, Reagan's mom is an actress, and she kind of gives up her career and stuff to take care of Reagan, and she's a really good mom to her, and she's really concerned. The series kind of gives her a bit of a character assassination where Reagan is like, you were a terrible mom, and you picked your career over me, and all of this stuff. So going back and watching the film, after watching the prequel, I kind of felt a bit, the sequel, sorry. It kind of did the mom a disservice, and they kind of rewrote a bit of the history of the Exorcist film that I didn't really think it needed. I think it was honestly just to have 2 actresses act across from each other in a really you bitch kind of way, and that was compelling to watch, but didn't really
maybe they were
stick with it.
I don't know if we can get however many episodes out of
it without this kind of other sense of drama. But what I really want to talk about is The Exorcist Season 2. So Season 1, sequel to the original film. Season 2 is its own beast. And Season 2s of anything are great because, as Bryan was saying with Barry, they've laid the foundation and now they can kind of have fun with things.
Totally.
Yeah.
So Season 2 is a kind of haunted house kind of thing where there's a foster home on an island run by John Cho. And
I love John Cho.
Yeah. And he is taking in foster children, and it's kind of nearly a Xavier house for gifted kids. You kind of situation where there's so many vastly different children, and they kind of have their own struggles, but they could be X-Men if they wanted to be, kind of thing. And they're dealing with their kind of own personal demons. And there's kind of this misdirection because there's all these kind of clearly children who've gone through a really rough time. This foster home in particular takes really troubled children, and you're like, oh crap, one of them is going to get a demon, because it's The Exorcist, that's the show. It isn't one of the kids. And it just has this complete kind of subversion of the exorcism, like who gets possessed kind of thing. And it really plays with it well. It goes into kind of ghosts and haunted house stuff. It's like, it's scary at times, like it's kind of like edge of your seat stuff, but still with that campy vibe to it. It's a really good season. All the acting is super solid in it as well. They like, God, I can't remember her name, Brianna something. She's in Deadpool, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, which I remember.
Her.
She's in it as well, and she's great. But just a really great series, and surprisingly has some great gay representation in it, which I wasn't expecting, again, for a show with a lot of Catholicism in it. And I wish I could say it was gonna go somewhere, but it was cancelled after season 2, and that's just devastating to me, because they were really ramping up with the secret cult stuff.
It sounds like they're having a really good time with it.
Yeah, they really were. It was it was on broadcast TV, like it was a Fox original like TV show. So, you know, it didn't get any hype. It kind of went out to die, but it has the budget and it looks great and it has the actors. So it's just a real pity that they didn't really get to follow through with those storylines. But season 2, just as a standalone piece of media, is really, really good TV. And season 1 is compelling as well if you're into The Exorcist. So if you like horror television and you kind of want to give it a go, I definitely recommend it. Just go in knowing that you'll never get the kind of ending you want out of it.
It's cool because, like, decent horror TV shows, pretty few and far between.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, like, you have American Horror Story, if you're down for American Horror Story. Have House on Haunted Hill, which I think a lot of people didn't like.
Haunting of Hill House.
Haunting of Hill
Yeah.
House. Same fucking whatever.
No!
Which a lot of people, I think, did not like. I really like that show.
Same. I think, it was contentious.
Yeah. But that sounds cool. Guys, did I ever talk about Pulse on this podcast?
I don't think so.
Oh, I watched that the other weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
It was alright.
What is it?
The first half I thought was fucking amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's a Japanese horror movie from the year 2000.
Yeah.
Or, well, turn of the millennium.
Yeah. I thought it was like a super interesting movie for, like, especially when you consider the time. It's about weird dial-up modem internet ghosts.
I've heard of this.
Yeah.
And it's a
I
website.
think we have a mutual follower on Twitter who talks about it a lot.
Yeah.
But I think the first like 30 minutes of it are some of the strongest like opening 30 minutes for a horror movie. Just the hallway scene, Brian.
Yeah. No,
that was fucking amazing.
It's really good. I did like the setup that it's I don't know if it's a website or if it's just like a program, but it has webcam footage of people in their bedrooms or living rooms, but they've already left the world of the living, but they're like snuff footage, but it's at like a very slow frame rate.
Yeah, it's really creepy, really unsettling. A lot of the strength of the film I thought was like just in its atmosphere and like its sound design and its visuals. It goes a really weird direction.
The more I think about the ending, the more I kind of actually like it. Usually,
we can't.
Yeah, no, we can't.
It's from 2000. Come on.
This film turns into The Missing.
Really?
It turns into an apocalypse where everyone, because the video.
No, Brian, it turns into the film I pitched, The Missing.
Yeah, it does.
And I had not seen this film when I pitched it, but that's exactly what it turns into.
So everyone starts disappearing?
Yep.
Just out of the blue, no explanation?
Yep. Well, there's kind of an explanation.
It's just the video kind of becomes more viral and then more people kind of get sucked into it, I guess. But like planes start falling out of the sky.
I felt like the film was maybe like 40 minutes too long.
Yes, absolutely.
There was a point where it really had me, and I think that's when I messaged you, Rebecca, about it.
Yeah.
I was like, this film's fucking awesome. But then when I went back and watched the rest of the film, I was like, oh shit, this is really long. And like, I was watching Michelle as well. Michelle was into it for a while, and then she was super not into it.
By the second half of this movie, I was on my phone.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. But what's good about it is really cool. Like, if you're really into horror and you want to see something really fucked up and different, it's really good. Just, there are drawbacks to it as too. Like, it becomes a bit of a slog. But it was beautiful, I thought. Like, it was shot really beautifully, and they were just some of the imagery in it was so really just effective and great. But yeah. Guys, I watched the Viceland series, I think it's ongoing, called Dark Side of the Ring.
I've never heard of this.
Okay. So...
Is this about a butthole?
Yeah, I was going to say because it's Vice. I was like, it's so...
and it's a ring, but it's
Yeah.
the dark side. So, you know, like...
You guys are going to be so disappointed when you find out what it's actually about.
It's about some sort of... It's about wrestling, isn't
Yes,
it?
it's about wrestling.
I wish it was about butts.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, there's butts in wrestling.
No, not the kind of butts that I appreciate.
Let me tell you about the wrestler Mr. Ass.
Okay, he's alright. I like that.
So basically, over the years in wrestling, there's been a lot of fucking just crazy things that have happened. From weird conspiracies to, like, murder. And this series is a really well-made Viceland series documenting all just the fucking crazy stuff that happens. Like, one of the first episodes they released was called The Killing of Bruiser Brody, and it's basically about this really insane wrestler who went down to this super, like, really very dangerous territory and ended up getting murdered, and how all that happened and the different politics that kind of led to it and all this kind of stuff. And it pretty much takes these moments of wrestling, interviews all these people involved, and does these like kind of weird out of focus recreations as well, and has this really great like synthy soundtrack, and it's really amazing. Just, I guess, I don't know how, I think if you're not into wrestling, there is still a lot here, because a lot of it's about pulling back the veil of wrestling and seeing all the fucked up stuff that happens underneath. I watched an episode today. It was on the Montreal Screwjob, and that's a really, really famous event in wrestling where Bret Hart didn't want to drop the title, but it was his last night in WWE, and basically how a giant conspiracy formed to take the title off him that night and make it look like he lost.
How? I need to watch Dark Side of the Ring.
I think you'd enjoy it.
Yeah.
I've really liked, another episode was called The Perfect Match, and it was about the Macho Man Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth. And Miss Elizabeth was basically the first like female valet manager in wrestling, and it was about her marriage to Macho Man Randy Savage, who's an amazing wrestler. But it was also about like how, in a weird way, their real life marriage like started to like reflect their in-ring relationship, and like the whole story was that like Macho Man was this really jealous guy, and he'd get like really pissed off if ever like another guy was near her. Meanwhile, backstage he was doing everything he could to keep her away from the other wrestlers, and it was just really fucking weird, sad story that like does not work out for either of them, and it's really, really good. So I know, like, I think even if you're not into wrestling, like if you're one of the people who likes my other videos on wrestling, they're kind of in a similar-ish vein to that, and I've really, really been enjoying this series, and I'd encourage people to check it out.
How modern does it get? Like, how far will it go up to?
The most recent thing was the Montreal Screwjob, and that was 96, but there's only 4 episodes out. I would fully believe that they'll do stuff from like before that. But yeah, it's really, you know, I always think like the fascinating thing about wrestling is when you start to see past the product itself and start to see just the bizarre inner workings of it. And this is such a good show for that. Like, man, the Bruiser Brody episode, like, yeah, there's basically a wrestler gets murdered, and his friend like takes him to the hospital where he dies and all this kind of stuff. And then his friend comes back to the locker room where it happened. All the wrestlers are just sitting there like nothing happened. And he meets one of the cops, and the cop's like, I heard some fan killed a wrestler. And it's like, no, that's not what happened. It's really, really good.
Never a better time to be a wrestling fan.
Debatable.
There's just a lot of shit. I feel like we're high, I don't know, saturation point with wrestling stuff right now for some reason.
I think that means I just need to talk about it less on the podcast.
It's not just you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Guys, let's say move into our strategy talk. Guys, I played Katana Zero.
I'm very curious about this game.
This game's really cool. Really, really cool. It's beautiful. It's like some of the the characters in it are tiny. They're these like really small little characters, and it's all pixel art. But God, the animation on them is so elaborate. And it's a really strange little game. It's like, the way it works is you're this samurai, and you're in this like neo-dystopian kind of world, and you get a contract that says go to this location, and then you go to that location, and that's when the kind of gameplay starts. And it's pretty much done like you can slow down time, and when you do, you can bounce bullets back at people, and it's like basically you're trying to figure out the most efficient way to get through this level where like one hit's gonna kill you.
So it's like Hotline Miami.
It's quite like Hotline Miami, yeah,
Okay.
except it's side-scrolling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you progress to the next room, and then you find your target and you kill them. It's got this really interesting dialogue system where basically a bar is right down the bottom, and that's going to fill up as you're talking, and you can actually hit the bar at any time to interrupt the flow of conversation. And so if you hit it right away, it's going to be like, shut the fuck up, and that's it. Like, you're just... That'll pretty much move you on to the next section of dialogue. Or you can wait for longer, and at that point you can ask questions about whatever they're saying, and you can kind of play it however you want. And it's kind of interesting how the different sections can play out. Like, I was breaking into a hotel, and the receptionist was like, who are you? And I could have told her to shut up straight away, in which case she would have called the cops. But I like slowed down, and she was like, oh, are you in cosplay? And then the samurai's like, yes, I am in cosplay. And so then later on, when shit goes down, the cops do get called, but because you have a little bit of a rapport with the receptionist, she's like, oh no, that guy's okay, he's just a cosplayer. And one of the cops has a really good line where he's like, well, alright, but you're lucky we repealed that shitty cosplay law. And it's kind of just fun like that. It's very, you can tell the kind of films, like Drive was definitely was like a big influence on this movie. Neon synth, like there's a lot of that. And you start to kind of like get a picture for who this guy is, and some of the ways they characterize the samurai is really nice. Every night you have to go back to your apartment and like fall asleep, but if you try to go to sleep without drinking your tea, the samurai will be like, I need my tea. And then like you go over and they have this little animation for him like picking up his teacup and like blowing the steam off it, and like stuff like that's really, really nice. Where I think maybe it falls down a little bit is I feel like with the gameplay, they had some really cool ideas for what to do. Like, this guy's power is he can kind of see into the future and figure out what's going to happen. So when you're playing through a level, the idea is that that's him like preempting the whole thing, and you can slow down time and all that kind of stuff. And then when you beat the level, it plays the whole thing back without you slowing down time. The only thing is, slowing down time isn't really necessary to beat a lot of these levels. It just makes it easier. Like, I'm towards the end of the game now, and I can just do everything without slowing down time. And so that whole time mechanic of it doesn't really add up to much, which is disappointing because it's a really big part of the story. And I feel like at some point in this game, they were meant to do something more with like... There was meant to do something more like maybe, I don't know, like you hold down a button and then you can do like a rough run of the next 5 seconds and then adjust your strategy based on that. But as it is, it kind of just feels like just a kind of basic action game, even though like the story and the characters are actually really interesting. And so it is really cool. It's like, I think it's like 15 quid, and I would say it's worth it.
On the Switch?
Yeah, totally. And if any of this sounds good, you're probably going to have a good time with it. But it's kind of one of those games where it's very good, on the verge of being great, but not quite there. Niamh,
Hello.
Tell me about
Mafia 3.
Mafia 3.
Yeah, very, very quickly. Because I think I talked about it before in 2016.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
I know. I decided to replay Mafia 3. I was kind of hungry for an open world game, and my copy of Days Gone didn't arrive on time for the weekend, so I was like, I'll play Mafia 3 again. And I'm really glad I did. It's kind of a noir Mafia game set in a kind of fictional New Orleans called New Bordeaux. And it's just a really competent open world game with like compelling characters, good soundtrack, lovely locations. The locations are the biggest surprise. Like, you'll have a shootout in a abandoned seaside fairground. So you're going through like a spooky roller coaster ride, and there's loads of pop-up stuff, or there's graves, or there's like a ghost priest like floating around in the background as you're shooting, like Dixie Mafia guys.
Wait, like an actual ghost?
Not an actual ghost, just like a prop from the ride.
Yeah, Carney Ghost.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like it uses the location, like different parts of the city, to great effect, to kind of mix up the location. So you're not just like, there's a lot of like clearing out warehouses of dudes, but for every few main missions, you'll kind of get this kind of real shift in location design, and it's really fun. And the story is, you are Lincoln Clay, you are coming back from the Vietnam War, and you have been double crossed, and so is your family. So you decide to take over the entire city and take down the other mafia gang. So you are slowly encroaching into different territories, and you can kind of recruit people to your racket and kind of build up money. And it's just has a very interesting cast. It's like a black cast dominated game. It deals a lot with race. It's just a really interesting game that I think it kind of goes around €10 for the price that you can get it for. Is like it's such a good time. The shooting is like mechanically sound. I like a shotgun. You'll die a few times. You can pick up the bodies and you can move them to different places.
It's a little disturbing that that's the feature you pick out and focus on, but
I really like doing that.
okay, let's just move straight on by this.
Because you can do a stealth element where you hide the bodies and kind of stuff. I kind of I killed like maybe 30 people in one building and put them all in a toilet cubicle.
And they were clipping through the stall.
Yeah, it was so fun. I spent so long doing it. I first tried to get them all in a car and it was not happening, so I went with the toilet cubicle.
No, they're not clowns.
Niamh, this is how psychopaths talk about murdering people.
It was really fun. But they were twitching for ages, so you just threw a Molotov in on top of them and they stopped twitching, which was even weirder.
They
We had some stragglers in there.
Yeah.
here.
And it's just like, I love that chaos of open world games where you can just kind of like, the story's like, it's serious, and Lincoln is like on a serious mission of like revenge and redemption, and maybe he'll learn that redemption is not the way to go. Maybe he will. I think he will, because the writing's actually good in this. But you can also just fuck shit up, like throw Molotovs out of your car as you're going. It's
weird because
fun.
In some open world games that really bothers me, and then in some it kind of works.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like the other day I was playing GTA 5 because I needed a palate cleanser after another game that we will talk about later. Because I needed to re-experience an open world game where like the mechanics are good, and so I had to do a mission where I started on top of one of the tallest buildings in Los Santos on a helipad. So I was like, well, I need to get a helicopter to go up there, but I couldn't find one. But I found a blimp, and I was like, this'll do. So I had to fly the blimp to the top of the helipad, but I could only do it in first person because it was really hard to judge where you were. And I got to the helipad, but I couldn't land it, so I just jumped out of the blimp and just crashed it down below. But then it caused the police to show up, and they were looking for me for ages, but they can't get up to the top of the building.
I really like that type of chaos. If you like GTA, you'll probably like Mafia. Like, it has like obviously a more serious story. I think there's like when that bothers me, that chaos is like, say in stuff like Watch Dogs, where they're really trying to treat the protagonist like, oh, he's a victim, you know? And then you're like on a bridge, like doing like rockets into traffic. Like I dressed him all in a white outfit and I pretended he was just a psychopath just to kind of get over that like mental block with him and the story and what they were doing. But yeah, so like Mafia 3, a good time. It is super cheap and it holds up. It has some weird lighting issues. Yeah, like you say walk into an area and you'll just take a step forward and all the lighting will just flicker or like shift really suddenly. I don't know how they're rendering the lighting, but it is not playing nice a lot of the time with the game. Same with the reflections. Sometimes they're there, sometimes it'll like reflect the whole room back and Lincoln as a giant head, like inflated head. Like it's so, like it's really weird. Yeah. So they're doing something with how it's rendered. Very sadly, it doesn't have a photo mode because it was 2016 and that's before that became a real big thing.
Before the real social media sync up happened.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a pity because the game is like gorgeous when it is nice looking. At other times it can be a bit drab. It kind of has a bit of a duality to it. But yeah, like Mafia 3, give it a go.
Cool. Speaking of causing some chaos.
Yeah.
I have been playing Totally Accurate Battle Simulator.
Hell yeah.
I played so much of that game.
So good.
It's so good. Oh my god, it's so good. So I spent hours being like, okay, so what this game is like just, you have a field, you have two sides, you have 6 armies, you pick units from each and you make them fight each other. That's the game. But it's all like weird physics-based combat and these stupid looking little 3D models. Like they look so fucking like just derpy. Like they just look so stupid. And they run across the field and try and kill each other and they're like trying to swing their swords. But like it's all physics based. So something you can do is like you can put a really strong knight against like a really tiny little halfling. And if the knight hits the halfling once with his sword, it's over. But if his arms are too long and the halfling grabs onto his leg, he'll keep trying to swing at him and missing. And it's really funny to watch. And then you can do that, except 100 halflings versus 1,000 knights or whatever. And it's so much fun. But I kept trying to... I don't know what I did the campaign as well. I thought the campaign was really cool. But I spent a lot of time just like being like, okay, there's like... Basically, like, each unit has a points value. So a halfling will be like 50 points. A knight will be like 200 points. A king will be like 1,400 points. And so I'd set a point limit, like 2,000 points. And I'd set up 2 armies against each other. And then I'd run the simulation a few times to see which one like won the most often. Because like there's variables in how the AI acts. And like one tiny little thing in the battle can just chain react through the whole thing. And so... Then once I had a decisive winner, I'd go over to the other side and I'd try and redesign that army so they won and then watch that simulation. I did that for about 4 hours last Sunday and it was so good. The game's early access and it's pretty early on, but I love this game. I think it's really, really good.
For what's in it right now, like you get your money's worth straight away.
It's like $12.
Yeah. It's a fun time.
Yeah. Which is your favorite army, Niamh?
I love the mammoths. Like I just love the mammoth. It's so fun.
Yeah, I like the mammoths. I like the minotaurs.
They're pretty good too.
Just because they run across the battlefield and they grab someone with one hand and just fucking punch them so hard with the other, and it's really, really cool. I feel like talking about it, it's very difficult to put across the charm of the game because like you really just need to see one of these happen. You need to see one of these fights actually play out. And the moment you do, I think it's when you'll be like, oh, I get what this is. But it's really, really good. Bryan.
Yeah.
You've been playing Deltarune.
I have, yeah. I played it in like 2 sittings. Very fun game.
Yeah, cool.
I really enjoyed it. If Toby Fox gets to make a game every 2 or 3 years from now on, that'd be pretty rad.
I'd be alright with that.
The music in this is fucking fantastic. I think the battle music is the fucking best thing I've ever heard.
I love the battle, but I love Field of Dreams, I think.
Yeah,
Field of Hope, I can't remember.
I like the characters. Susie is my favorite.
Susie's great.
I wish Susie because Susie joins your party and then leaves your party, but then joins your party again, and she's me in an RPG where it's like, I'm just gonna fuck with the narrative.
Yeah, that would be completely you.
I'm not a fan of D&D, and if I don't have the patience for it, and I played 1 or 2 matches or sessions of it, and I'm like, I'm just gonna do my own thing for myself and play very selfishly and disrupt the whole thing.
Yeah, when Bryan plays D&D, he has to be like, I see a house over there, and I go in the house, and it's like, no, Bryan, you can't. That's not how it works.
But I want to go into the house.
I know.
So I enjoyed that you have, well, I guess Chris is just blank canvas, and Ralsei,
Ralsei,
who's just like very much encouraging the pacifist route.
Yeah.
And then you have one of your own team members who has their own AI trying to like ruin everything. I thought that was very funny.
Yeah, no, it was good.
And I think some of the enemy designs are very good as well.
Yeah, some of it's so good.
And I beat the game. I didn't really understand what happened at the end, but I think that's the point. It's supposed to be mysterious and abstract, and maybe you watch a video on YouTube that explains it. I don't need to do that. I'm okay. I'll think about it, and maybe I'll watch some conspiracy videos about it in a month.
Did you explore the town much after?
I did. I talked to every NPC that was available.
There was some good stuff there, I thought.
Yeah. The whole gang is there, I guess.
Yep. Imagine how good that game would be if Lancer wasn't really lame.
He's fucking lame.
Yeah, I feel like Lancer is every problem I have with a Toby Fox game condensed into one being.
He has no walk animation or anything either. He just like slides along.
Yeah.
He's designed to be annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because
some people like that, which I'll never understand. I had so many people defending him in my stream.
Yeah, because like his whole thing is he's like one screen ahead of you the entire time, and he's just setting up shitty traps.
Yeah.
And it's funny the first time, and then you're kind of like, okay, what do you want me to feel?
Yeah, but like I just felt like he was a much lamer Sans and Papyrus, because that was their shtick as well for
Yeah, it
like
was.
the first bit.
Like, yeah.
That all that said, I thought that last boss fight was really cool.
It is, yeah, it's a cool fight.
Really, really good. But yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
It was very fun.
Yeah. Guys, I played Mortal Kombat 11. What do you guys know about the Mortal Kombat story?
They all rip each other's spinal cords out, and they're related to each other.
That.
Okay. Will I try and give a super quick rundown of what is happening in Mortal Kombat?
Okay, actual Quick or John Quick?
That's so mean.
I mean, it's true.
Go on. In your own time, tell us about Mortal Kombat.
Okay, John Quick. Now that I start going thinking it in my head, John Quick. It's gonna be John Quick, all right? Okay, so listen. There's this Mortal Kombat tournament, right? And it's between Outworld and Earthrealm. Earthrealm is us. Earthrealm is just the human world, okay? I'm gonna get a bunch of shit wrong here. I'm sure there's going to be some hardcore Mortal Kombat people listening. I do not care about corrections because I do not care about Mortal Kombat. I'm sorry if this was someone talking this with this much half knowledge about Street Fighter, I would also be upset, but I just don't care that much. But I also do like this story.
I don't think Mortal Kombat fans need to be apologized to ever. They know what they are, and that's that.
Okay, so then I think every like 7 years there's this Mortal Kombat tournament, and if Earthrealm loses like 10 times in a row to Outworld, then Outworld gets to eat Earthrealm.
Who made the like
Ed
deals? Boon. Okay, because that's a bad like. If 7 years, 10 times in a row, so like even if you win 10 times in a row, it will take at least 70 years to make this thing happen.
Yeah, but the reason for that is because there was this dragon god.
Cool.
Who got split into 7 pieces. And he became all the realms. So you got Earthrealm, you got Outworld. I think you got NetherRealm. Not out. It's a different Quan Chi's from... Doesn't matter. So, and then I think basically the Mortal Kombat tournament, by asking that question, you're after extending this fucking thing.
I'm so sorry.
I know, but look, Shao Kahn, imagine like Triple H covered in skulls. That's Shao Kahn. And he was like, I'm gonna fucking destroy Earthrealm. And I think some clever god was like, well, what if we have a martial arts tournament? And Shao Kahn's like, oh, I love those. And it's like, and what if you have to win like 10 of these and then you get Earthrealm? He's like, perfect. How far apart are they? And the guy's like, 7 years. And he's like, oh, all right. It's probably that. So anyway, Liu Kang in Mortal Kombat 1, Earthrealm's on its last chance. One more loss, we're fucking done. Liu Kang wins the tournament. First Earthrealm person to do it in forever. But this sets in motion a chain of events that plays out over the course of Mortal Kombat 2 and 3, which then goes into all the other Mortal Kombats which have been retconned out of existence. They never happened. Bo Right Show isn't a thing anymore. Some Mortal Kombat fans can love that one, I promise. But this sets a chain of events in motion where everyone fucking dies, okay? Until it's only the God of Thunder, Raiden, left. And so the God of Thunder, Raiden, sends a message. He uses the Kamidoga, to send a message back in time to his past self at the start of Mortal Kombat 1, being like, listen dude, everything goes fucking wrong. You need to reset the timeline. That's Mortal Kombat 9. Okay?
Okay.
So then Mortal Kombat 9 and 10 are this new timeline where Raiden is fixing everything that went wrong. But this creates Dark Raiden. Because he gets the Kamidoga himself and becomes super fucking evil. So the end of Mortal Kombat 10 is Dark Raiden being born. That's bad news for everyone. So Mortal Kombat 11 is the God of Time, Kronos, being like, who the fuck? Someone fucked up my timeline. And so Kronos brings the Mortal Kombat 1 characters forward in time to the new timeline of Mortal Kombat 11 and is like, I need everyone to fix this because this is bad. And so you have Liu Kang from the first game, who's the hero who won the first one, fighting his future self, who's an evil undead revenant.
That's bad.
It's bad.
Are all the alternate versions evil?
No. Some are good. Some original versions are evil because of Raiden's original timeline, or because of Raiden's fucked up timeline, and their past selves are good. There's a lot of people have switched factions, and it's very confusing.
Does this mean the roster of the game is doubled?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's more, they do it more through skins.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's still a fighting game.
It's still a fighting game. But the reason I'm talking about the story so much is because story mode's actually really good.
Yeah,
it's
that
like,
sounds wild.
Yeah, like, say there's stuff like, you know, Johnny Cage from Mortal Kombat. By like Mortal Kombat 10, he's pretty much like a grizzled army veteran. He's fallen in love with Sonya Blade. They've had a daughter. He's fought his whole life to kind of like keep Outworld from overtaking Earthrealm. But him in Mortal Kombat 1 is a dickhead film star. And so when he comes forward in time, it's basically like this young asshole filmmaker trying to pitch his older self on them doing like twin movies and saying that they'll both get points off the back end. And it's really funny and weird. And it's all like really well directed and acted and has like oddly well done emotional stakes. And the only kind of like fly in the ointment is Ronda Rousey fucking sucks in it. She's bad and I don't know why they got her.
She's Sonya.
And not good. I've never been the biggest Mortal Kombat person, always been much more of a Street Fighter person. I think it plays well. I think it's a really, really well playing Mortal Kombat game. I'm not that into Mortal Kombat with how it plays. Like, it's always just felt like a little loosey-goosey for me. But I'm having fun with it, and I'm really enjoying going through the story. Some of the fatalities, Jesus Christ. There's one guy, he basically like, he traps you in a giant like pillar of sand. So like you're kind of like flat up against it, and then he just reaches to your like shoulder and face and just pulls the front layer of your skin off.
No.
Yeah.
Are Sub-Zero and Scorpion doing okay?
They're friends now.
Okay.
That's fucked.
Yeah, it's really fucked. Oh man, there's a lot of wild stuff in this game, but it's good, it's fun, and like even with what little Mortal Kombat knowledge I have, I'm really enjoying just how insane they're going with that lore. Because the lore is fun. It's like really stupid magical kung fu movie stuff, and they've done some cool stuff here.
Are there any fatalities where someone gets turned inside out?
Not inside out. There's one where like
Also, that's probably very difficult to model.
I'm sure they've done it at some point. There's one where they like you get all your skin ripped off and you're just like a muscle man underneath screaming. My favorite is Devora. She does one where she vomits a bunch of maggots into your mouth and then you fall down and like die. But then your like belly swells up real big and these two giant legs come out from like your hips and your arms, and then it's like a spider's leg and he stands up and his head comes out of your head so that your body is its thorax and it just walks away.
No.
It's really good.
That's cool.
It's cool. I've been having fun with it. I'm definitely getting my money's worth. There's been a lot of stuff about the microtransactions and how much it costs to unlock everything. Honestly, I don't really care. I'm gonna play the story mode of this thing. I'm gonna beat a few towers. I might learn how to play noob Cybot, but I know I'm not invested enough in it to have that microtransaction stuff affect me. It doesn't excuse it, but just I don't really have a platform to talk about it from.
Have you played online or anything?
No, I don't play online Mortal Kombat.
Too scary?
I just know I'll get just destroyed, and I'm okay with that if it's a game I want to learn, but I don't really want to learn how to get good at Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thought this was gonna be your new thing.
No, I just there's too many other anime fighters and street fighters I want to get better at.
All you Mortal Kombat fans, the answer is no from John. He will not fight you
In Mortal Kombat.
in Mortal Kombat. Just in general, no.
I would enter a Mortal Kombat tournament.
Are you sure?
Yeah, well, fucking, I don't want Outworlds to take over Earthrealm.
What's like the most fucked up thing you can do in Mortal Kombat? Okay, this is an open question to everyone here. What's like your fatality?
You're basically asking how would we murder a defenseless person?
Yeah. So mine is, so they're on the ground and they have that one little bar of health.
Okay.
And they're kind of struggling, lying down. I get out a piece of paper and I start slitting the gaps in between their fingers and toes and on their lips as well.
Wow.
Just little scratches, and you kind of hear that sound, and they're just writhing and screaming, and I walk away. And then I crumple up the paper and throw it at them.
That's pretty good. Okay, I got one. I reach down my opponent's throat, and then I kind of like keep going, and I crawl inside their body, and then I kind of rearrange and put my arms out through their arms and my legs out through their legs, and then I just turn to the camera and go, "See you later, folks," and I just walk away in their body.
That's all, folks.
That's pretty fucked.
Okay, Niamh, you gotta top this fucking crazy cake.
I get really big with my hands. I start molding the person into a tiny cube.
Would you not just like make them into like a Gundam and put them in your figure cabinet forever?
No, it's a cube.
It's a cube.
A cube of human. Like you do with a piece of blue tack.
There's the...
Oh, but then you could rearrange them to make like a human-shaped cube, but it's like it's not even like the right order of where their body parts even were.
The last boss in this is Mortal Kombat's first ever lady boss, and she's called Chronica. She's got a time. Very angry. One of her fatalities is she lifts you up into the air and then she just like splits you down the middle with her telekinetic powers. Then she forms you back together and she splits you from the middle but horizontal this time, so your legs separate from your like body. Then she puts you back together again because she's like keeps rewinding time. Then she rips all your skin off. And then she cycles back to the first one and it just keeps going on forever until you hit continue.
That's so terrible. Wait, I want my one to be like, I remove your head and your butt and I switch them around. But you're still alive.
I'd love if you're like screaming, but then you're like...
There's some
no noise.
There's some of them that they're so simple, but just they're so well animated. You go like, oh!
I'd love one where like you grab their eyelid and then you like take like 10 steps back
No!
and then just let loose and it snaps them.
There's one in it and it's by I think he's called Garrus, but he teleports behind you and then just with an open palm taps the back of your head, but your face, skull and brain all come out in layers and then it just freeze frames and goes fatality. It's fun. I'm having a good time with it. Brian,
Yes.
tell us about Life is Strange Before the Storm. How many fatalities happen in that?
A lot.
There's one in particular that really fucking just got to me. It's, I guess I'm playing games from last year that I'm kind of catching up on now. Although I think the first episode of this is from like the year before in 2017.
Yeah.
I downloaded the whole season and I played episode 1 and I really, really enjoyed it.
I feel like a real comfort playing games I've missed from previous years.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know what it is, but it's just like, oh, it's okay. I can catch up to things.
Yeah, and it's like this game came out and you weren't there when it was out, but you're here now and you don't know what to expect of it, and you know this game doesn't know what to expect of you, and it's going to be an interesting one. I got to episode 2. I think episode 2 of Before the Storm is like my favorite Life is Strange thing ever. I really, really enjoyed it. Made some interesting decisions that paid off super well, and it was super cute. And then when you beat the episode and you get to the worldwide stats, you get to see what other people picked, and you see the similarities, and you go, "Yeah, they get it."
I really liked that in Walking Dead when you'd see some of those options and you'd be like, I would never be friends with that group of people.
Oh, yeah, that happens in Life is Strange as well. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, people who kiss Warren.
Yeah. But to me, with Before the Storm, I think everyone playing that game is playing it a specific way, and it's very, very satisfying in episode 2. Then there's episode 3, which is I'd rather it didn't exist.
Really?
It's very lackluster because the episode 2 ends on a good kind of cliffhanger. Then episode 3 kind of tries to explain that cliffhanger and makes you do very dumb stuff where you're like, why is this character in this situation? Why did they agree to this? And it just feels like a bunch of ideas mashed together. And then the ending is really, really sad and lame and just like a shitty trope.
It's the prequel problem. Like, it had to catch up to Life is Strange. It had to kind of fulfill some horrible, horrible plot points.
Yeah.
Which was kind of the pity of it all. Like, even them doing this, like, even as much as I wanted to play as Chloe and I wanted to know what Chloe and Rachel's relationship was like, it doesn't end well. It's really sad. Like, having something end with a character on the floor crying, when you really like that character and you have such a high note with like episode 2, you're kind of like, ah.
Yeah, and just the final scene of you ringing the phone but the phone's not being answered, and you recognize the room where the phone is being rang from, and you know why that person is answering that phone.
And it's sad.
Yeah. But episode 2 is so good.
What's so good about episode 2?
You get to do a Shakespearean play and you're forced into it. And it's just really funny because like you're made memorize these Shakespearean lines, and like they're kind of very difficult to remember. So Chloe has to improv them, and she does such a shit job, but it's so fucking funny. and like she's not enjoying it. And I think the actual motion capture acting is really good because she's like hunched over and she's not looking at it. She's just looking at the floor the entire time. And there's like a small group of people, and it's really cool because like I do think when you're a teenager that like something with like 20 people watching is such a big deal, because like that's basically like the entire world watching you do your thing.
Yeah.
And you could tell like the drama club were like practicing this for weeks and weeks, and you're called in at the last minute to fill a spot, and it goes as well as it can, but they're like, that was amazing. It was saved.
Were there drama clubs in either of your high schools?
No.
No.
Me neither. We did a play in 4th year, and I had a really good time doing it. I got to be the bad guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was fucking awesome.
Like, I made movies with my friends that I didn't go to school with, but we just did it the weekend. So that kind of...
You showed me a fair few of them.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
I
really like them.
I do like that collaboration and creativity where it's like, you're teenagers, but you're not just going, "Ooh, let's drink in the forest," which is fun, but you know.
Yeah, that was most of my teenage years. And you think it's awesome when it's happening, and then you look back and you're like, wow, that was lame.
Yeah. So I do really like this kind of stuff from kind of teenage media. And then you and Rachel walk home and you have a couple options, and you pick the option that feels right, and the scene is super well played out.
Cool.
And you can press X to continue whenever you want, or you can direct that scene as long as you want. You could switch all the camera angles and everything, and I think that was really, really sweet.
Cool.
It's very, very well handled. So there's some really, 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 really good highs and some unfortunate lows.
Yeah, that sucks because I really liked what I played of the first episode of Before the Storm.
Yeah. But I think you could play up to the end of episode 2 and you can leave it as is. You don't need to play episode 3.
Well, honestly, like, if episode 3 is like how we get to Life is Strange episode 1, I don't give a shit. But like, I never care about that. Like, I never need like, and this is how we got to point 1. Like, I always think it's nice just to tell a story in that universe and leave it. Like, not everything has to connect.
Yeah. They try to connect everything. It's even got the bit where Chloe dyes her hair.
I hate that stuff.
I didn't mind her dyeing her hair because that was such a big, like when you first see Chloe in the beginning of Before the Storm, she has her brown hair, yeah. And you're like, whoa,
yeah,
and like
that is kind of
there is a bit of her like, well, I'm changing, you know, her growing up or whatever.
Yeah, she just finds like a prop hair dye in the bathroom, and she's like, I'm gonna do it. And she just shows up that evening with her dyed hair.
Guys, I beat Sekiro.
I saw you on stream do it.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Proof that I did.
Yeah.
No one can say I'm a fake gamer. No one.
You're a real ass gamer now.
Real ass gamer. So I'm not going to be taking any shit anymore on this podcast. This is who I am now.
From now on, John gets treated with the utmost fucking respect.
Yeah, no more fake names. No more insulting my tastes. Just, this is the real shit now. Moving on. Yeah, I still feel very positively about Sekiro. I enjoyed it all the way through. Really, really liked it. There was one boss towards the end I didn't like. It's the Demon of Hatred, for you guys who've seen that. And I just didn't like it because it felt like a Dark Souls boss in a Sekiro game, and you do not have the mechanics to deal with it properly. You know, you don't have a valid dodge option, even though a lot of that fight is kind of spatial, but it's an optional boss as well, so it doesn't matter. Very minor gripe. Overall, I really liked that game. I was like kind of enthralled with it beginning to end. I think it definitely ranks below Bloodborne for me at this point. And I actually think I enjoyed playing it more than Bloodborne, but I can tell I'm not going to keep thinking about it. Like, I'm still thinking about Bloodborne. Like, there's parts about Bloodborne's world where I'm still like, oh, Jesus Christ, that's so fucking crazy, you know? But with Sekiro, it's like the story is very simple. That game is a boss rush game. And I can't remember if I made this comparison before, but Sekiro, to me, it's Punch-Out. It is a continuous stream of bosses that you fight your way through, and you learn their patterns, and that's the game. And that's really satisfying to me. I totally get if it's not to other people, but that's just like, this series of one-on-one encounters was really good. The last boss especially, like, they really end that game on a high note. It's a very difficult boss. I would say it's probably the most difficult. It's the one I had the most trouble with in the game. But the cutscene leading up to it, like the location, the like mechanics of the fight, it was really, really good. And it felt so good beating it. Like it really did. So yeah, I liked Sekiro. Where are you guys with Sekiro?
I'm back at Ashina Castle, and
You fought the naughty man.
I fought the naughty man, but now there's an armed man up there. Some other man.
Isn't there fucking always?
Yeah, and I don't like his sword. And the length of his weapon does not suit the size of that stage, but that's my problem.
Niamh, how are you getting on with it?
I took a break. I know. I beat Genichiro. I was like, I don't like boss rush games. My favorite moment in anything is getting to a boss, like clearing out stages. And
I like bosses so much that I'm often like, I just, let me do the fucking boss. I don't need this shit.
Well, that's Fury. That's just like bosses.
Yep.
I actually didn't like Fury for that reason, because it was just all bosses.
That's fair.
So I really like the game. Don't know if it's for me. I will go back to it. Maybe. I don't know. Like, I kind of felt...
I think you have played and experienced enough of Sekiro where, like, I would say... I think you would like that game, Niamh.
I do. I like it, but it makes me greatly unhappy
to play. Yeah, no, it makes me very unhappy.
And I don't enjoy, like, spending my time being mad, you know? But, yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it too, but I'm enjoying my time away from it as well.
Yeah, there was a moment when I finished it and I was like, I don't have to play this anymore. So then I went back to something that makes me really happy. Persona 5.
Yeah.
Are you not done with that yet?
No.
I can't stress this enough. You should stop playing that game. I just think... Because, like, you told me where you were and you were like, I think I'm near the end. And I was like, you still got like 25 hours left.
Well, now it's only 15 hours left.
You'll see.
I have many mixed feelings about that game. I don't hate it. I do not hate it. But parts of it are such a bummer. We'll get to it another time. But I think we should end this on a high note. Guys, new AAA game from Sony came out. Seems fucking awesome. We're all really pumped about it. Let's talk about Days Gone. Niamh, give me your impression of Days Gone. One word. That's a word.
I don't know how to sum up my feelings of that game. Dumb.
Yeah, stupid. Just idiotic. Imbecile.
Moronic.
Yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
Goofy.
And it's really not trying for a goofy tone at
No,
all.
No, it's 100% fucking serious.
That's the problem. I think me and Bryan wanted like this to be our palate cleanser of the brutalness of Sekiro, you know, like something that is just dumb fun, like silly biker shooting zombies, you know. It didn't need to be the best game, it just needed to be fun.
Yeah. I guess this is something we'll get back to in a sec, but this is a game that is an amalgamation of every game, or well, I guess every AAA blockbuster like pushed game of the last 7 years, like pulled apart and just pushed together to make this unoriginal, lackluster bore fest.
This seems like the most 2014 game in the world.
Yes.
I don't like, it's hard to tell who it's for, you know. It's like it doesn't really work as an open world game. It doesn't work as a narrative game. It
doesn't work.
It's really weird.
It seems like something designed to reach a very kind of wide casual audience.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like I don't say that dismissively. I just mean like when you look at like the Sons of Anarchy, The Walking Dead, like it's like that's the crowd they're trying to hit.
And I think it could, but there's some parts of it that it's designed that I think is just like will just actively push people away. It's grindy in a way it just does not need to be. It like this should be a 15 to 20 hour game. This game can be a 30 to 60 hour game.
Yeah. So you play as a biker called Deacon St. John, and you are you're in the state of
Oregon,
and you're a biker going around, I guess, the zombie apocalypse. And you start the game and it says 735 days gone. So I guess the zombie apocalypse happened 2 years ago, and you're kind of in the remnants, and you're just going around the wilderness, and there's survival camps, and then outside the camps are the zombies, which are called freakers, and then cultists that look almost exactly like the zombies called rippers.
and the rippers look exactly like the zombies, and the ones that use melee attacks move exactly like the freakers as well.
The only difference between them is that when you shoot a freaker, they ragdoll and kind of flop, whereas if you shoot a ripper, they have this whole thing where it's like they're not scared of being hurt, or they don't give a shit, so they'll just keep walking into bullets.
Right.
But I think that's like a programming thing that's meant to, that they were like, no, it'll look cool. Doesn't? Can I say why I bought this game, or what led me down this? This is made by a studio called Bend Studios, and they're based in Bend, Oregon, which is a town that's kind of within the center of it's a very small town. It's a very small studio. I think it's about 40-50 people. I know the game went gold a couple months ago, and they had a photograph of the entire team, and they seem like good folk. And this is a game that they've had in development since approximately 2012, 2013. Their last game was the Uncharted game for the Vita, which was Uncharted Golden Abyss. And this studio have been developing games for 20 years. They made all the Siphon Filter games, and their first game they ever made was Bubsy 3D.
What? Not as in the original? Oh my god.
The 3D Bubsy game.
One of the most reviled games of all time.
Yeah. It put a lot of things in perspective, I guess. And so I guess a couple of reasons was I'm always interested in console exclusives, and I think Sony do great console exclusives. But this game started development before The Last of Us, Tomb Raider, and GTA 5 came out. And those three games are kind of what it borrows the most from. The Last of Us being this kind of like mature zombie apocalypse storytelling game, the open worldness of GTA, and then I guess the gun gameplay of the Tomb Raider games and some of the survival aspects of it as well. This game feels like a launch title game. Like, this game should have come out at the same time as Infamous Second Son, because it kind of feels as disposable as that. This shouldn't be in the second half of a life cycle of a console. I don't understand why this game is what it is.
Even with like so much development time with it, it is kind of like a mess. The characterization of Deacon and the story writing is just so strange. It feels like there's three versions of Deacon. There's the cutscene version of Deacon, there is the in-game battle dialogue of Deacon where he seems like deranged. Like, he'll mumble to himself, he'll be like, come on freakers, I'll fucking get you. Like, really, like, just like fucking...
Could you talk like that for the rest of the time?
Fucking murder him.
He's really on edge.
Yeah, like really like tweaker like level like fucking crazy going on. And then there's, if you go into the options and go into kind of the kind of story bit, there's a little like blurb of information about how he feels about each mission, and he seems a little bit more human there. In the cutscenes, he's like so emotionally constipated, but like really sees himself as a hero. Like, just this kind of real like self, like, I'm so tortured because my wife died, despite being in a post-apocalyptic world where everyone has lost everything. Like, he's the most tortured and the most in pain all the time.
Like, his own friend Boozer gives out to him for it. There's like, would you just let it go?
Mm-hmm. And it's just like, it's so self-serious. There's just weird things where things don't add up. Like, at the start, there's this whole bit with Boozer, aka the Booze Man, who's your best friend, who you're riding with. and Boozer gets hurt. You borrow his shotgun, and then when you go out for a second time, he asks for it back, and he's like, I feel naked without my shotgun, like, can I have it? And you hand it to Boozer, and he sleeps with it. When you go out into the open world, one of your starting weapons is the shotgun. So narratively you've given it away, but in the world you have it as your weapon. Why that is they had a choice system that they removed from the game. So there was originally a choice where you would choose to be like, no, Boozer, I need it for my own safety because I'm going out there, or I'll give it to you because it's your shotgun and you want it. So I think they removed the choice system somewhere along the path, but didn't do anything to kind of correct what those choices are. So there's a whole pile of like morally fucked up stuff happening all the time.
Yeah.
Like Deacon has this moment where he talks about his code, and his code is he won't kill a woman if he doesn't have to. You kill so many women. Like just if you go into a camp, they're guarding their own stuff. Like you have a camp and you guard your own stuff. He just kills them, but you'll have a little bit him mumbling like, oh, they're all rapists and murderers. But you also work for a camp that's a slaver camp where Ada Tucker, who runs the slaver camp, tells you it's a camp of murdering rapists. So it's kind of like, where is this code, Deacon? Like, one camp of murdering rapists are willing to pay you to bring people in as slaves, and the other camp you don't know, so your code doesn't really affect that.
Yeah.
And later on, the code comes into it more, and he talks about his code some more. And it's just, it feels like the narrative is never connecting with what you're doing in the open world at all.
You know, he also has this thing. So like, they keep bringing up his dead wife Sarah, and I think I think I got to the point in the game. I've since traded in. I don't want to play it anymore.
Bryan's review of this game is on our Twitter, and it's my favorite thing we've ever posted on Twitter.
I played about 15 hours of this game, and I cleared out the first area, got to the next area, and I could see the counter being wound back to 0, and I could see what was ahead of me, and I was like, nope, I'm done. But I think at that point it was kind of hinting at maybe Sarah is still alive, maybe there's some hope. It does it twice, where it shows this flashback, and then it shows the flashback again with extra cutscenes padded around it. But his wife Sarah gets stabbed in an altercation, and she gets put on a helicopter that's with like a bunch of government scientists, and it's this guy in a hazmat suit called O'Brien, like it's just his surname, and he goes, "You're going to take care of my wife." It doesn't sound like that, except sometimes he does. His voice is all over the place, and he's like, "Yeah, I promise," and then he never sees his wife again. And there's several times where he'll just be muttering to himself as he does, going, "Damn O'Brien, kill my wife." Just scapegoating his problems on someone else, because this guy has never done anything wrong ever in his life.
That happens continuously out it. Like Boozer at some stage, spoilers for this game by the way, Boozer has to get his arm amputated at some stage, and he finds it's the third camp that you go to, and there is like medics there, and they remove his arm. Deacon takes it as a personal slight. Like they were like, "Thanks for getting that medical equipment. It like made it easier to treat Boozer." And he was just like, "Yeah, for you to hack him up, that is." And it's not like they wanted to take his arm just to have an arm. Like they were doing it to save his life.
Yeah,
but he
had awful burns, and it was in sepsis. It wasn't good.
It was just so weird. He kind of takes every kind of slight against him. Like, he takes everything as a slight against him, whether it's not. And it's just really immature and weird. It's just like, these two people saved his life.
A lot of writing has gone into this character, and none of it clicks together.
No, it's so strange.
From what I heard with this game, they developed the world and the systems, and then in the last 2 years of development, they added in the narrative.
Right.
That's never how something should work, I feel like.
But that's what I've heard. And I've also heard that the game is made in Unreal Engine. And in Unreal Engine, there's no motorbikes built into their system. So the motorbike is actually a four-wheeled vehicle with the four wheels on the outside turned off. Because the bike is kind of chunky.
Right. Weird.
And it doesn't drive like a motorcycle, because like it doesn't, like, compared to other open world games, it's stockier.
Yeah.
just to like even talk about like the mobility. So you like, it's open world and you go around the map on your bike. The bike is fragile. You have to scavenge gas for it to keep it gassed up, and the gas will go quickly enough. It will take damage. So if you like take a ramp and land hard, it'll take damage. If you hit a freaker, you can't run them over. You can, but it will damage your bike and you won't get the XP for the kill. So it's like incentivizing you to not ever hit them kind of thing with your bike. So there isn't like, it's not like you're kind of like your warhorse going through the land. It's kind of this fragile thing, which I feel like could be interesting because you do get to modify it and you do get to build it up. But the modifying it and the weapons are put behind a credit system. So you have to like turn in credits, turn in freaker ears as bounties to get credits. That again would be fine. But the credits are split between two camps. So you've one camp that deals with your motorbike and one camp that deals with your weapon unlocks. And it takes a lot of credits to build up trust with each camp to unlock weapons and upgrades. So you're kind of going through the world with kind of a weak bike and a kind of understocked weapon cache. That you feel like you're kind of splitting between both the camps. And like I spent hours grinding, like hours and hours grinding.
Same.
And I only got to like level 2 trust with these two camps before a third camp opens up and they're like, okay, we'll deal with actually weapons and bikes all here, but you have to start from 0 trust with them.
That's really strange.
It's really frustrating as well because like you actually earn loads of money, but you've nothing to spend the money on because it's all locked out until you get to a high enough level trust.
Oh, that sucks. Wow.
It's really badly scaled.
And it's like a lot of ears. Like at one stage I turned in like 300 freaker ears and you get 1 ear per freaker, which is it's just dumb. It's just dumb. It's really dumb. There's loads of weird little plot holes like that, because how you fix that is you say it's a right ear. Make sure you collect the right ears and then you can collect 1 ear and that's it. But just take 2 ears, Deacon. Then you'll double your profits. Yeah. And like
you may as well just be cutting off the nose.
Yeah, no, cut the nose. And like there's different ear values for each ear that you have. So there's different types of freakers. They're all humanoid, so they're all just different types of people.
So what's an example of like different kinds of freakers?
So there's the like the pawn one, which is the basic one. There's
the
a screaming,
swarmer, yeah.
Yeah, there's a screaming one. There's a big one.
How big are the big ones?
Like a jacked dude.
Yeah. It's your typical fucking zombie, you know.
And then there's newts, which are kind of the weirder ones because they're children.
Huh.
So you kind of gotta deal with them.
This game is kind of okay. Like, you know how in The Last of Us you fought zombies and they were kind of like men and women zombies, but then when you fought bandits, it was only dirty beard men. In this, the bandits you fight are kind of men, women, but some of them are teenagers as well. There are a lot of like people who look like 15 years old that are way shorter than you,
cool.
with guns. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Just that you're not just exclusively fighting
and
one
like
type.
You know, were a situation like this to kick off, that's kind of what would happen.
Yeah.
But they don't really deal with it.
No, they don't. I'm kind of hoping The Last of Us 2 like pushes on that more. It's definitely a bit refreshing to see it, but it's never touched upon beyond just there they are.
I thought the freaker designs were just so uninspired. Like they're bleached white people with no hair, and they kind of look a little gross.
Yeah, and what'll happen is you'll get attacked by 20 of them, but the way they'll load them in is you'll be attacked by 20 freakers, some men, some women, but there'll be like there's like about 6 different outfits for the freakers, but you'll be chased by 8 of one outfit, 4 of another outfit, and then 3 of another outfit.
Oh, that sucks.
And so you'll do this thing where you jump into a bin and hide, and they'll like run around the bin, and you're just looking at them being like, just clones. And then they won't leave the bin until you exit the bin and then hide in the bin again, and then it triggers their animation to actually like move on.
Oh god.
Yeah, like there's a lot of stealth in this. Like there's a lot of stealth to like clear out camps and to kind of get away from the freakers, but the stealth isn't great.
Yeah, it's your pretty standard hide in the bush stealth.
And there's stealth eavesdropping missions, and not just one of them, not just 2 of them. There is a lot of them. Like
Year of our Lord 2019.
Yeah, just consistently. And if you get spotted, like over. Like, there isn't like a runaway, you can shoot your way out of it. You have to go through the stealth mission. And what makes it worse is you can't, like, there was one where I had to infiltrate the camp. I was like, okay, I'll go around this way. I went around that way, and the game was like, no, leaving mission area. There's a leaving mission area stuff in the same way that Red Dead is like, you need to play it this way, but this does this you need to play it this way, but the checkpoints are bad. Like, Red Dead's checkpointing was good. This checkpointing is so awful. You could, if you're traveling in between 2 missions and you clear out 2 camps or something, if you die like a meter before you reach your next camp, it'll put you all the way back at the camp you left, and it will undo some of your resource gathering.
Oh my god. Oh.
And this game is prone to crashing.
Mm-hmm.
You had a real serious bug, didn't you, Bryan?
Yeah, I did. I was right near the end of a stealth mission. The game crashed because I think too many NPCs appeared on screen that weren't freak. I think they've got tech down for a lot of enemies that are freakers, but I think when it's like just like human NPCs in a camp, sometimes there's too many of them and the game will just shit itself. And this is on a PS4 Pro, and it's like, my PS4 Pro is screaming.
Yeah,
it's
same.
a badly optimized game, and the day one patch is 18.5 gigabytes. And within a week, it updated like 3 or 4 times to get up to version 1.4, 1.5, because they kept fixing little things.
I ran into a few bugs. One of them was I was stuck on a ladder. I decided to climb up a ladder to see what was up there, and it was just cycling me up and down it, and I couldn't get off of it. So God. I needed to exit out of it. I lost I cleared out like 3 or 4 nests, and it takes a while to clear out nests. Yeah. It's suggested that the freakers make their own nests out of their feces, so that's kind of fun. And you have to set them on fire.
I do actually enjoy those bits. Mm-hmm. The way you save this game is you have to stand next to your bike, make sure you're not under any threat, and then press triangle to quick save. And
even if you like quick save, or even go and do the save from the options, like a hard save kind of thing, it will sometimes ignore your save. Like, I hard saved after clearing a camp, left the game because I had dinner or something, came back, and the camp wasn't clear.
Oh,
so
this is making me like tired.
It's like, it's weird. And then just like, there's all this like open world stuff, like it's a grind to get weapons, and like when you do get weapons, it's fun to take out freakers. It's fun to throw like grenades in there and have nice guns.
I really enjoy the weapons in this game. The shotgun is solid. Mm-hmm. Sniper rifle is good. I think the weapons are fun. They're as good as the Tomb Raider games. I prefer them to the weapons. I think they are.
Niamh made a wavy hand motion.
I really don't like the weapons in Rockstar games, in GTA 5 or Red Dead. I think they're the weakest part of those games. But I do like the weapon wheel in this game, and the crafting and all that. Like, it's solid.
And I think it would be enjoyable, but it's just buried under tedious grind to unlock stuff.
That's kind of the hard part about stuff like this. Like, the glitches and stuff sound bad, but it also sounds like one of those games where even if everything was working flawlessly, what's left isn't really that interesting.
No. It needs an editor. It's full of bloat, not in the terms of missions. Like, when you're out in the open world, like say in Red Dead, you'll get a question mark and something fun or interesting might be happening. In this, it's someone trapped in a car with like 3 freakers on top of them. Yep. You shoot the freakers, the guy comes out of the car, and I've met the same NPC like multiple times. There seems to be only 2 types of NPCs you can meet in these car missions.
Oh no.
And you get the option to send them to one of the camps that you've been to, and you get different credits for each one. So like, that's what you meet out in the wild, and you meet kind of Nero is the kind of scientist company. You meet their kind of storage units where you can kind of get an injection to give you HP.
Yeah, it gives you a stamina or a health boost or a focus boost, which is your slow motion aim. Very early on in the game, you get a mission where you rescue a young teenage girl. It's definitely not Ellie from The Last of Us.
No, definitely not.
And he's like, you remind me of someone I used to know. She's ran away from like 2 camps now to keep fucking rescuing her.
It's just repeat stuff like that. It's like, go get Laura again.
Yeah, and like the game takes itself so seriously, and it just thinks it's like so fucking original with its ideas. I really wish this game was kind of like tongue-in-cheek, or I kind of wish it was like Saints Row, or if it was like the 21 Jump Street movies, where like it knew what it was, and it was like, this is a zombie fucking sandbox game, and you're a biker, but let's fucking take the piss.
Because it kind of sounds like they're trying to outlast Last of Us.
Yeah.
But with like, how? There's there's, when you start the game, like, a boozer gets injured to justify you going out in the world alone. So, like, Deacon doesn't really bounce off anyone to have a personality. His personality is weird. Like, he mutters to himself when he's on the bike. And, like, then it's all told through, like, flashbacks with Sarah about how he met her and their relationship starting. And he doesn't even come across nice in those either.
Yeah,
all I had to see, like, was and, like, I know it's probably, like, the lamest part of the game or whatever, but that wedding cutscene.
That's the most. I haven't even got to that yet, and I'm waiting for it because I want that level. If that level of cheese was there, I'd be happy. But it's not.
It's not even cheese though, because, like, she's so, like,
serious.
She thinks she's saying, like, the deepest shit.
He's real smarmy when he talks to her. So there's this one mission where you and her go collecting lavender flowers because she's a botanist, but she's got a tattoo sleeve on her arm. So
she's a cool botanist.
Okay.
And so,
kind of worried there for a second.
So it's just them talking, and it's clearly them on a date, but it's also follow the NPC in front of you. So you're on a date, but she's 5 meters in front of you at all times. So it doesn't fucking feel like a date. And it's just him going, not all bikers are fucking racists.
Which is weird because up until this point, there's been no black characters, and it kind of feels like everyone is a racist.
Yeah.
And then the game has this weird scene where it's just like, I have a black friend. It's literally the way the scene plays out.
Yeah, he's like, hey, when they're real fun to drink with.
Jersey Jim.
What?
He makes a mean margarita. It's really, really weird.
That's really weird. Okay.
And it's weird because what Deacon's arc to me seems like is him realizing that slavery might be bad. Because he was part of, like...
No, slavery's not.
Iron Mike's...
Wait a minute.
...camp before. Like, he was... the third camp you meet is the good camp.
Yeah. Oh, I really like that camp and how one of the guys dresses like Jesse Pinkman from season 1 of Breaking Bad.
Cool.
So in the good camp, like... Mike is a pacifist, and he's kind of like, we need to start cooperating and, like, learning how to kind of move on from this. And Deacon originally, we're told, left because he wanted to sell people to the slaver camp.
He wanted to do that.
Yeah, he wanted the credits for it. But later on, you get a mission where you have to find a woman who ran away from the slaver camp. And this is where you bring the young girl you find, by the way. You coerce her into telling her parents are maybe there so she can go work at the slave camp.
Yeah, it's the safest place for her to be.
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
even though he knows that Iron Mike's camp exists at this stage. Like,
so
he's
are
been
you
there.
selling her into slavery?
Yeah. And then, so, like, Deacon finds this other woman and, like, that ran away. And she's just like, I'm not going back there. And, like, and this is, like, it's a bad camp. Because if you hang around there a while, like, people are med work and they get beaten. Like, there's guys with guns and they beat them just as you walk around. So it's like, it's clear that it's bad. But in this cutscene, she's just like, she's like, they beat me. I don't get to eat. She's like, it's awful there. And he's kind of like, huh. And it has this moment, and I guess this is where it was a choice mechanic came in again. But there's a bit of him going, maybe this isn't great. And he doesn't tell Tucker that he find the woman who runs the slavery camp, that he finds this woman and he lets her go, kind of thing. So I presume at that point it would have given you an option to make her go back or to let her go.
Yeah.
But those options aren't there. So now Deacon just seems really stupid. Because he's having this kind of moral awakening, like, all of a sudden being like, maybe what I was doing was bad and I should have stayed with the good camp. I like the idea
of you visiting, like, a slaver camp and everyone's, like, in shackles and, like, getting beat up and all that kind of stuff. And then, like, he's, like, 3 miles down the road in his motorcycle and he's like, wait a minute!
It kind of feels like that.
They're literally out in the field gardening.
Oh, God.
It's, like, it's so strange.
You know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like to me that humans were the real monsters all along.
I bet that was brought up like 6 years into development and they all clicked and went, whoa. I can't believe this game is trying to get away, like, or thinks it's getting away with this stuff.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing, and I didn't want to play it anymore because what happened was it was a couple of days since I played it and I took the disc out of my PS4 because I knew what was happening was every time I turned on my PS4, I'd play it for a little bit, and I went like, I'm not enjoying this, so I took it out, waited a couple of days, and I was like, I have no reason to play this.
I'm gonna finish it.
I can't.
That was actually quite funny, Niamh, because like last time I saw you were like, I'm trading it in tomorrow. And I was like, okay, cool. And even then I knew you wouldn't. And then like the day after you said you were going to trade in, I turned on my PS4 and it was just like, you've played Days Gone.
I feel like I'm nearly at the end, so I feel like I'd be like undoing all the time I put into it by not seeing how it finishes. And I want to see if what is Deacon's arc? Because if it's, whoa, slavery bad, that's a bad arc. Like, that's so fucking dumb. Like, like I want to understand.
Yeah, fire is hot, Deacon.
Yeah, it's like it's so weird. Before we end this, I want to talk about some polished things with this. The flashlight.
Yeah, the fucking flashlight is the biggest fucking joke I've ever seen ever in a game. Because, yeah, like, it's pretty early on in the game, you have to walk through a tunnel. And I went, Rebecca, come in here right now. You need to fucking see this shit. And
it's like, there's an icon of a flashlight that you flick on, but there's no physical model of a flashlight. And there's no direct source. So it's just this orb of light that appears kind of around Deacon's shoulder, where I guess the light should be, and rotates with the camera and not with Deacon.
Yes.
It's so weird looking.
But then he has stuff modeled, like he's got a walkie-talkie modeled on him.
He doesn't, though. That only appears sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Because they never explain how Deacon is talking to Boozer on the bike. They're like, he's always having walkie-talkie conversations.
Like,
no, he doesn't have an earpiece.
Okay, Jesus.
But he does in one cutscene where they point it out. But on the model, he doesn't have it.
Yeah, like, stuff is very weirdly prioritized. He has a red do-rag in his back left pocket. And that is so well animated. It's like Batman's cape in the Arkham games. It's so well animated, and it's just constantly billowing every step he takes.
But then you'll get something like, you'll get a bounty where you're told to get like Red Boot Bill. And the way you need to show that you've killed him is to bring back his red boots. And then you click on the corpse.
The red boot? Oh.
You click on click on the guy to collect the bounty, and it says in your inventory that you have the red boots. The red boots are still on the model.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Like just this weird lack of polish in a game that's been in development this long.
Polish should be this game's thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like the game has weird collision where like the Freaker collision is pretty decent. But then he'll like explore like an abandoned house and he'll be picking up scrap. But it'll do that weird physics Gary's Mod Rust thing where like if he's not near something directly, his arm kind of like gimbals and snaps into the opposite direction an arm normally bends and kind of like rubber hoses his hand over to the object, and it's really fucking funny.
I actually really like that
because like he's not looking at it, but his hand is kind of like a snake that's like
like imagine you were just like in a kitchen with someone and you were like, oh, could you pass me that cup, and their arm just did that.
Oh,
whoa.
Yeah, like that that's happened before.
Bryan just punched a piece of metal.
Yeah. Oh well.
So, guys, I'm hearing like kind of 7, 8 out of 10.
I'm really curious to see where this places on our Game of the Year 2019, because like right now I know where it places because I think we've all played a couple games this year. We haven't played like a bad game yet, and I think this is my first bad game of 2019.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's gonna place pretty low, like so far. Like I got no beef with it. You guys sure seem to. Of course, I only don't have beef with it because this is something I care so little about, and I have cared so little about.
Like, I just think, like, this game is, for me, was a cautionary tale where, like, I know I can beat this, but it requires a lot of grinding and rolling my eyes. And I've played games like this before, and I'm not doing it again. I can't. I really wish you wouldn't play this, Niamh.
I need to do it. I need to finish it.
Just think of all the other good games you could be playing.
Well, there's kind of like, there's a bit of a like lull in game releases right now. So this game is #1 in the UK charts for the second week in a row.
It's doing really well.
Yeah, that's the worst thing about it.
It's so broad though, you know, like that's kind of why.
But is it broad? Like it's like Oregonian biker?
Riding my steel horse through the zombies. That's what it is.
Yeah. It certainly is.
Yep.
We will talk about it once more as I do my loot drop, but we'll get to that later.
Okay. Guys, what's we move into our Quicktime Events? Oh man, oh man, oh man. A lot of bad things happening with our... We need to try and find more like happy news, I think, sometimes.
Maybe E3 will be good.
Yeah?
I can't wait for E3. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Sure.
When is E3? How long far away are we?
Next month?
Isn't
it June?
It usually... I think now it begins on Saturday the 8th of June. Because it used to begin on the Monday, but now it's 2 days before.
A month away.
Yep.
The way.
It should officially properly start on Monday.
For your birthday of the podcast.
Yeah. It should officially start on Monday the 10th of June.
Yeah. Okay. But our first story here, we have... Oh, God damn it. I'm going to edit this out.
That's okay.
Reports of crunch from NetherRealm Studios. So yeah, this was an unfortunately familiar story at this point. Like a lot of... Who was it who ran the article?
Oh,
No.
NetherRealm Studios, pretty much you're seeing the same thing kind of out of them that you saw out of...
Out of Rockstar?
Yeah. And it's like just a lot of people complaining for not a new thing. This stuff's been going on since Mortal Kombat 9, which is like pretty old at this stage. Like that was a previous generation game. And I think it's really unfortunate that it's difficult to know what to say about this story because it's so similar to the other stories of crunch we've seen. And it's really bad and unfortunate, and I'm glad this stuff is getting discussed more. I'm glad the ideas of like a gamers union and like game developers kind of standing up for themselves is becoming like more of a thing, because some of these cases just sound horrific.
Yeah, this guy like James Longstreet like on Twitter was talking about how working on Mortal Kombat 9 like nearly killed him, and loads of other devs who've worked on different NetherRealms games kind of chimed in and were talking about their similar experience of just the crunch just grinding them down.
Yeah. Which sucks because like I've always liked Mortal Kombat, and this is the first time that the crunch has come out of a studio for me that I kind of have at least some affinity with, you know what I mean? And it kind of sours me a bit on the experience, because like I don't like playing a game and thinking like, oh, this fatality is really cool. I wonder how many people lost their weekends to make this, you know?
I think with NetherRealm as well, it wasn't just the crunch. There was like with the Riot Games stuff, there was like talk about how it's like a bro culture and like there's like a lot of sexism in it.
If you go back to Mortal Kombat 9, yeah, that seems like it. Because like the women in that game, they look like blow up dolls. Like it's I swear to God, go look up a picture of Sonya Blade from Mortal Kombat 9 and then look up Sonya from 10. There must have been a very serious personnel shift in between those two games. But that really sucks to hear. Like I hope Super Bunny Hop recently put out a big like 40-minute video on like games unions and like what it would take and why it's important. And when you hear shit like that, it really is, because I really do think stuff like this, it has the potential and does like destroy people's lives, because you can't have a life if you're working like 70, 80, 90 hours a week. It's not possible. But yeah, I hope that stuff gets better, and I hope it gets better soon.
Me too.
Niamh.
What one is this?
Next up, we got Persona 5 Royale. Okay, we'll take Royale first, and then we'll move on to Scramble.
Why are you giving this one to me? I don't care about Persona.
Because my phone wasn't on.
I guess I care about it.
Bryan.
I guess this is the Persona 5 version of Persona 4 Golden. It's the re-release. So. It's a re-release with an extra female character.
Yeah, so and that's like I guess the big story here, the extra female character. I think she looks pretty cool in just her regular clothes.
Yeah.
I really don't like her phantom design.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Girl forgot her pants.
Girl forgot her pants.
She looks like Robin in the Adam West Batman. Not good.
Yeah.
It's weird because her design kind of looks like a really like a female like kind of Joker, so kind of like I think people were thinking they would do a kind of
Yeah, I thought
Persona
that'd be a
3
protagonist.
female
Yeah.
protagonist shift, and it's not.
But if she was the protagonist, I would also like to wear pants for 100 hours.
Oh yeah, me too.
But yeah, no, she's not. She's a new character, and she's a gymnast, a rhythmic gymnast.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. So she's wearing a leotard.
I guess. But yeah, I have a lot of trouble getting my mind around this because, like, to me, like, being right at the end of Persona 5, the idea of playing through that game again, not like now, but at any point in my life, sounds like the craziest thing in the world.
Same. No, thank you.
No, thank you.
I kind of thought that because the next thing, Scramble, people, like, it was advertised as Persona 5S, so people thought it was going to be a Switch release for Persona. And I was just like, why would you want to play this again?
If I hadn't played it for the first time, a upgraded, like, because my first experience with Persona 4 was Persona 4 on Vita, which was the Golden, which was really cool. And
Yeah.
the idea of, like, a Royale version of Persona 5, if you haven't, that sounds cool. But Jesus Christ, yeah, like, if I'm not gonna play it again. And it's kind of, it's a bummer as well, because it seems like they're adding in some new gameplay mechanics, like there's new kinds of attacks, and there's new, like, team-up attacks and stuff. And Persona 5 needs that so badly, because that is one of the most limited battle systems I've ever played. Like, there is one way you play Persona 5, and you can do other stuff, but it's not really incentivized or rewarding. And it's irritating to me that now they're adding in more stuff, because God, it needs it so badly. But yeah, I guess if you were on the fence for Persona 5, Royale might be good. It's weird to me they're not releasing it on Switch.
They might eventually. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, I guess so.
But then there's Persona 5 Scramble, which is the Koei Tecmo Muso game.
Yeah,
I'm into this.
I'm actually pretty into it too, because I thought Hyrule Warriors ruled.
This is like something I really need to see how it goes, because their games are either really good or really like
Yes,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah, like,
And they've been for a while.
when they do a licensed property, it's kind of hit or miss. I like the Fire Emblem one, but some people don't like that one.
I did not like that at all. I thought it was so drab looking. This is why the Persona one looks better, because
Yeah.
it has the visual style of Persona.
The One Piece one, they nailed it. I know the Berserk one is meant to be terrible.
The Dragon Quest one was pretty bad as well.
Yeah, so hopefully the good team is on this one.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm intrigued because I really, really like the cast of Persona 5. I think they're a really, really good cast. I think their stories aren't great, and the overall story of the game I think is quite bad. And so I guess the opportunity to maybe do something else fun with them, like if something with the same level of polish and story as Hyrule Warriors, that could be really cool. But if we're going to get kind of B Team Temco Koei, yeah, that wouldn't be great. But yeah, I can see why people are disappointed with that one. All right. Oh boy, we got our good friend Randy Pitchford in the news again. I feel like it was last episode we talked about this guy.
I think
Talked about him twice already this year.
Yeah, I think he's going to be hitting hard for the next
He's
year.
batting 100.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we have two stories here. Niamh, if you get a chance there, could you pull up the tweet he said to Game Informer? Basically what happened was that in the announcement of Borderlands 3, Randy Porter, he had this line, and it was like, it was a little, I get what he thinks he was saying, but he basically says, you know, we're gonna have like, you know, some cosmetics and some sort of stuff, but we're not gonna have like no microtransactions, no loot boxes, any of that bullshit. And when he said cosmetics, I was like, oh, so you're gonna be able to customize your character. But what he was actually saying is like, hey, there's going to be cosmetic DLC in this, which is a microtransaction. That's absolutely nothing but a microtransaction. And then he says there's going to be no microtransactions. So Game Informer Game Informer run this story saying, like, Randy Pitchford said there are no microtransactions in Borderlands 3, but it seems like there's microtransactions because they have this cosmetics thing. And then he makes this tweet. Do you have it there?
I have it here. It's like, so this is in response to the Game Informer tweet where it's like, despite Gearbox CEO Randy Pitchford's comment about no microtransactions in Borderlands 3 during today's live stream, we've been told cosmetics items are still purchasable. And Randy says, come on guys, shitty clickbait headline. This guy's a CAO of a company, by the way. Literally seconds before I said that, I made it very clear we're going to be doing more cosmetic stuff like we did in Borderlands 2. You know, I was talking about premium currency and loot boxes kind of stuff, not being in our game. Why you guys would fuck me on... This is a separate tweet. Why you guys would fuck me on this is beyond me. Thanks a lot.
That is... Randy Pitchford is a man in a bad place. Like, I feel like we are seeing the very public meltdown of this guy. Mm-hmm. And, like, I don't like Randy Pitchford one bit. I think he's kind of sleazy. I think he's a bit of a dirtbag. But I think he needs, like, to rest. And he should not be the figurehead of this thing.
They have a new game coming out and they should not have Randy being the spokesperson. He should not be, like, he needs to go dark because, like, Borderlands 3 will sell itself. Like, Borderlands fans will buy that. He's actively turning off people who like that series.
Yeah.
He's a nasty person.
And then he also... I think this was, like, in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, this is, like... So, like, following that, like, Randy had this big Twitter thread, I think it was, like, 8 tweets long, like, with Game Informer being like, you know, you took me up, where Randy was basically...
I think it was really, really long.
It was really super long, and he was basically trying to redefine what a microtransaction is, and it was just really, like, tragic. But then today, more Randy stuff happens, and this is Randy versus Claptrap. So on a tweet thread like today, so it's like Tuesday the 7th, Claptrap's voice actor David Eddings said he was assaulted by Randy Pitchford in a lobby at GDC in 2017. And this all comes from a dispute with David Eddings not coming back in Borderlands 3 as the voice of Claptrap. So Claptrap's a big marketing part of Borderlands.
Yeah, I think David Eddings had a different position. Like, he's not a voice actor.
Yeah, he worked
different
there.
Position, and so he did the Claptrap just like, well, yeah, fuck it, I'll do it. But now he's not working there, and he didn't want to be paid to do Claptrap. He just wanted some royalties from a previous game or something.
So because he worked in the studio, he did Claptrap without payment, but on the promise of royalties. So David Eddings says he's owed royalties from before. So his tweet is basically, these are 2 of his tweets. I had a lot of mixed feelings when asked to reprise the role of Claptrap late last year, and eventually realised I was willing to put differences aside and do something cool for Borderlands fans with my friends at Gearbox. I ultimately offered to do it for free in exchange for past royalties owed, plus an apology for something I've never spoken about publicly until now. Randy physically assaulted me in a lobby at the Marriott Marquise at GDC in 2017. And his thread goes on from there. This whole voice actor thing is an ongoing thing as well, where Pitchford said, we offered him like base voice actor payment, and he said no, and he was paid handsomely, and this is all like what Randy's saying. But then Randy also said that Nolan North and Troy Baker won't be returning to Borderlands because they turned the role down, which then Troy Baker refuted by saying that he'd love to come back, but that they didn't want him back. So Randy's been caught in a lot of lies when it comes to this voice actor stuff.
And he's a pretty prolific liar at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like we've seen like kind of dickheads in game development before. We've seen people go off on stupid threads and stuff. Randy seems like kind of a broken, vaguely criminal person at this point, if some of the allegations are to be believed.
Yeah, just a very incorrect person who won't back down.
Yeah, and like one of the tweets from that the voice actor Claptrap was accusing him of siphoning something like $10 million.
12 million.
Yeah.
12 million from an employee.
This was
That's part
a
of
royalty payoff.
Yeah.
But it was meant to be spread among the entire staff, because I think the general rule with working at the company is that you get paid royalties after the game does well.
Why do you guys think Randy Pitchford is still... Why is he still the figurehead of this project?
He has too much power, I guess.
Yeah, he must own a large share in the company.
Yeah. That can be the only reason.
And he has an extreme victim complex, and like even David Eddings' like tweet ends with it, like he's not a victim the way he makes out to, because like even with the Game Informer stuff, like he's just like, why you would fuck with me on this and like willfully take me up wrong. They weren't. They reported on what he said.
At the very best, what he said was vague and confusing.
Yeah. And it's just like, you said this, and what Randy wanted to happen is to kind of have that same reaction as, which shouldn't have happened anyway, but like, you know, the Star Wars Twitter tweeting out there'd be no microtransactions in like the Respawn Star Wars game. He wanted that kind of like, yeah, cool, no microtransactions in Borderlands 3. But he wants that without actually doing the thing to make that happen. So he purposely made his language confusing to get the kind of good publicity, and Game Informer reported on it, and then he got upset. And it's just like, he thinks he can play people. Like, even the fact that he did his magic tricks on stage after the whole magic trick debacle, and like spend 15 minutes of people's time waiting for a Borderlands tree reveal by doing magic. Like, there's a part of him that thinks he's kind of beyond this criticism, or thinks
Apparently
he can
refers
jokes
to
away
people
of it.
as muggles.
He's so magic.
Is he so magic? God.
He's such a narcissist.
I have a feeling this won't be the last time we talk about Randy
no.
Pitchford in the news this year. Bryan made an interesting point earlier in that this could be the first year we give our biggest shitshow award to a human being.
Rather than a faceless company with like multiple accountable people to blame, you can actually like single one person out, and they're the root of the problem.
Because the biggest shit show is going to be a very contentious category this year, and part of that is our next topic, which is just one word: Sonic.
Okay, I think with the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, we need to divide it into two parts, because there was last week, I guess, or I guess the beginning of the week and the end of the week. So let's just talk about the beginning of the week, and that was the trailer came out. And
yep,
that
it sure did.
That film looks like shit.
Yeah, it's the design of Sonic is one of the most hideous things I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's impressive. Like,
yeah,
it is. It looks bad. It looks like that to me. Just looking at that design, it's a room full of people passionately disagreeing.
And it's just this compromised mishmash of like things they didn't want in the final product.
Like if you see like the character art for this, I'm sure it goes from really cute stylized Sonic all the way iterized up and like boardroomed, like compromised all the way to this fucking thing.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of executives stood behind a 3D artist and told them how to model it.
Yeah.
It looks horrifying.
So it's a tiny blue hairy man with really, really thick legs. Loosely based on the character Sonic the Hedgehog, voiced by Jean-Ralphio from Parks and Rec, with weird weird hands with nails. And a weird mouth and
human teeth
and just the eyes of a demon. And then you have the trailer, and like Sonic is about 50% of this trailer. The other 50% is, well, I guess it's like 50% Sonic, 25% James Marsden, who is just who you get when you have no other white guy to be in your movie.
Ah, James!
He plays Cyclops.
I liked his Cyclops. He was a very good cast for Cyclops.
Do you know what he actually was? He was very good at Cyclops. Like, he played that bollocks real well.
And he's very good in Enchanted.
Okay, yeah, he's very good in Enchanted. But like, I kind of thought that was the end of James Marsden. I didn't think we were going to be seeing him anytime soon. He's very boring. He is store brand vanilla ice cream. And then you have Jim Carrey, who I am genuinely convinced is still not doing good.
I don't think so.
I am really I love Jim Carrey. I really think he needs to take a proper break from acting because I'm worried.
I used to love Jim Carrey. He's gone off the rails.
I could never see him the same after.
Yeah, that documentary.
Yeah.
And he's an anti-vaxxer.
Yeah.
Oh, the whole thing. Anyway, even his characterization of Dr. Robotnik. So there's a bit where he meets in the trailer, like kind of like military goon guy.
Which is the guy who played M. Bison in the Chun-Li movie.
A lot of talents in this movie.
Yeah.
And like, it's kind of like he's being mean to him. He's kind of like being a dick to him. And it's meant to be funny. But he's just kind of... It goes on for so long.
It was a really odd choice to show out of context in a trailer.
Yeah.
Also, it was just the Rock's bit.
Yeah.
But with no charisma. Like, it felt weird. Like, and then he
yeah.
did this little robot aside thing. And it was just like, he has this, like, lackey thing. He means you're basic. And it was just like, oh my God, who wrote this? Like, it's so bad.
Someone from 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Some producer's teenager came in and fed some lines.
That's like the kind of troubling thing about all this. I think, like, take the Sonic design out of it, this movie looks really boring.
The music in the trailer is Gangster's Paradise.
Confusing inclusion.
I don't know why they didn't use Green Hill Zone but have it remixed by like Post Malone or Skrillex or something. And like get people like, at
one time Gangster's Paradise was probably a very sincere song about like the fear and danger of growing up in like a very hostile environment.
Yeah, it's from the
one that was probably faced by like many young African American people. That song was fucking about something, and we've taken it and we've fucking ruined it to the point that it's the fucking theme song of Sonic the fucking Hedgehog. And at some point I think we need to look at art and culture and just wonder how the fuck we got here.
Yeah,
Sorry.
That song is about 25 years old and it's originally from a Michelle Pfeiffer movie. And here it is.
It's a beautiful song. It's one of my favorite songs of all time.
It's just like, it's so out of like, it just doesn't make any sense with the tone of the trailer, with anything that's going on. Like, he's not even like what? Why?
Also, his powers are really weird. There's a bit where like he makes a ring, but it's like a dimension hopper.
Does he?
Yeah, and so they're falling down a building like a skyscraper, and he makes a big ring, and then James Marsden and his love interest go through the ring. Woman.
Girl face.
Yeah. They go through the ring and end up in a cabin in a like open field.
He's like an alien that hops time, I guess.
Yeah.
And his hair is magic. His quills.
Electric magic.
Yeah. There's like a fundamental like misunderstanding about why people like Sonic. And the Sonic story is like, it's pretty basic, but it's powerful. Like, it's like Sonic a hedgehog stopping the kind of corporate greed that destroys the environment.
I keep thinking about that old Sonic cartoon, the fucked up one, and just thinking like, that was rad. Do you know, I remember the first time I ever watched that old Sonic cartoon, and it was like, wait, we're like hurting the environment, but like that was the first feeling of that I got from like a piece of entertainment. And so like it had a message and it delivered it. I remember like Sonic has this nightmare where he's getting turned into a robot. It's fucking horrific. And it's like, oh my God, yeah, technology is kind of this frightening thing. It's not always like a good thing. I'd never had that before. And that like, and so, you can say all kinds of shit about Sonic, and I will also say them. But yeah, you're totally right. There is a heart to the Sonic story.
Yeah, no, like Sonic the Hedgehog is cool. I love Sonic. I feel so bad for Super Sonic fans because I know a couple at work and they were like, "Why can't liking Sonic be a normal thing?"
The answer to that question is very interesting.
Like, you know how you can like Street Fighter and people will leave you. Like, they'll leave you alone.
You can like Pokemon.
Or you can like Pokemon. You can
like Mario.
Yeah, but like if you like Sonic, people go.
That's because I think the Sonic fan base I think part of it is like it's an entry level to furry stuff. Like it is. Like
It is.
I don't
It is.
like. I would judge. I don't judge furries. I judge Sonic fans, but I wouldn't judge furries. But it's like I think just there's been so much weird shit, like Sonic fan stuff over the years, and the more of it that appears, the weirder it gets. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like this feels like DeviantArt Sonic, where it's off the rails.
DeviantArt Sonic. Yeah.
But this is Hollywood, I think this movie's gonna make a profit.
I think so.
Because like a lot of people were like, "Oh my god, I need to see this." Okay, but let's get into part 2 of the story.
Okay.
So I guess nobody likes this design. Everyone online is shitting on it. There were so many hot take videos, so many redraws of it. Like it just got a negative reaction.
Before we move on,
Yeah.
one little thing is, what do you guys think of the opinion that like, well, you can never have a good 3D Sonic design for a movie?
I think they could completely do like even like the new Tyson Hess designs, or even the new like 3D cartoon designs, put it in the world and literally have a line where some guy's like, you look like a cartoon, and Sonic is like, what the fuck is a cartoon? Like you don't
Yeah,
you don't
just-
need to explain it.
Yeah.
Like you don't need
No,
to.
I totally
you know?
agree, and I always hate that attitude of like, well, like you actually can't do a good design of this. You actually can't do a good adaptation of this. There's 6 billion people, 7 billion people on the planet. Someone can do it.
Yeah, just do like classic Sonic. Make him a little bit fluffy, like you do with Yogi Bear, with that Yogi Bear movie that came out a couple years ago, or like or the soon to come out Detective Pikachu. Yeah. But yeah, you just keep that classic design,
Yeah.
but just render it a little bit
And make
realistically.
jokes about how weird things are. Like have little Sonic go into the guy's closet and pull out his shoes and put them on and go, these are pretty cool. And then the guy being like, now you look more naked. And like, that's it. That's
I
it.
think you should be writing this movie.
But like, you can literally get away with stuff with 2 lines of acknowledging the weirdness, and then it's fine.
Yeah,
Then people will accept it.
Yeah, they will just go with it.
It's just like, why? Like, oh, he's a human body and he wears shoes because, like, you know, like his feet hurt running on the ground.
I think it's cool that they came up with a Sonic that not even Sonic fans want to fuck.
Yeah. No, I don't think there's anyone. I don't think there's anyone who wants to fuck it. And usually there's people who want to fuck anything.
There is no appeal to this design.
There's a woman who married a roller coaster. No one likes
No one
this.
wants to marry the new Sonic. I keep like imagining all the other Sonic designs in this style. Like, what does Big the Cat look like in this style? What does Rouge the fucking Bat look like in this style?
I don't want to know what Rouge look. I'd say that. I'd say it's real sad.
Did you guys see that poster of like the shitty taxidermy fox?
Yeah.
And someone's photoshopped it and it just says Tails the Fox, the journey to hell. Oh, it's so good. Niamh, can we have that in the thumbnail, please?
Yes.
Thank you. But yeah, so then Bryan, the second part of this story.
So this kind of, I guess, the trailer dropped on a Monday. By Wednesday, Thursday, the director had tweeted out, "We've seen your response. We're going to change the design." Now, at the end of the trailer, it has a date, and it's November 8th. That is 6 months from now. They are going to have to go back, redesign Sonic, and re-render every single shot that he's in.
Well, maybe he's just not in that many shots. Maybe he's not in that many shots in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
I don't know what they're going to change, because, like, no matter what they change, they're going to have to reframe stuff, because, like, his silhouette is a fucking problem.
I think the only thing they'll change is his face.
That's still a lot of acting and, like, eye lines and stuff like that. That is so much work for animation and VFX. It's awful.
Yeah.
What I really hated was the Twitter hot takes of people who do not know how animation work being like, yeah, like, I mean, they could just do it, just put the new model on the same bones. And it's like, oh god. It's like, VFX is not unionized. Like, this will be made with crunch, you know, and it will not make this movie good.
And also, you are going through, like, to reanimate something at that, even if every single department just has to hit render, you are going back through so many different pipelines. Like, that is a nightmare.
Yeah. Stuff that's been approved is now getting creative retakes, and they're the worst kind of retakes.
Yep.
And like, the thing was, with this awful trailer, I was sold on it.
Oh, like when I saw that they were redesigning it, I felt a pang of disappointment.
Yeah,
It's just, okay,
I want them to own it.
where are we going? Straight to hell? Let's go, boys. I don't want to go anywhere slightly better than hell, because it's still going to be bad. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, like it could have been like bad and fucked up weird, and now it's just going to be bad and slightly fucked up.
but guys, what if we get the best of all worlds and the new design is even more fucking hideous?
I can see it, because what they're going to try and do is like, I don't know, liquefy some legs, into like more stylized, like they can't do too much.
Do you think they'll give him a visor eye now instead?
Because they can't fuck with his
See,
height.
The visor eye, I don't care about. I think
Yeah.
I think you can put
The
a line
height's not
down
gonna
the
work.
middle of Sonic's face and it doesn't matter. But it's just everything else.
Just liquefy Tool, his hands bigger and his feet bigger.
I really, really want to know about the behind the scenes of this movie in a year or two, because like I want to know what the live action actors had to work with. Did they work with like a rod that was green, or did they actually have like Ben Schwartz in a suit, in a motion capture suit, rolling around on the floor?
Maybe that's just what they should go with at this point.
Yeah, because
It would be funny, at least, just to have Ben Schwartz.
What if there was one shot where it's just Ben Schwartz in a green screen suit?
what, like it just pops off for a frame?
No, it just cuts and he's there, and then it cuts back and he's back to the Hedgehog again.
Oh, I love that kind of shit.
Me too. They'd never do it, but that'd be so good.
Yeah, it's a real bummer on the staff, and like I guarantee that like there were people years ago in pre-production going, "Are you sure?" Like, because here's a better.
Apparently Sega have been fighting the design for this for years.
I can imagine like there was like loads of meetings about the teeth. Like someone in there had to be like, the teeth are a problem. Like, and like someone's like, oh, I don't like the sharp. Make them like my veneers.
Yeah, some like Hollywood guy was like, my yoga teacher says that teeth are the most important part of the body and not the eyes, so I think the teeth are important. Like just some like John Peters level
But
shit.
I think every feature of this thing's face is that, and they all like don't agree with each other's opinions, but everyone needs to stake their claim on Sonic's face. Sonic's face is like a massive land being carved up by coked out Hollywood execs.
Here's another thing with the design as well that really blows my mind. It's like the design is hideous. In most like 2D stuff, you don't get a shot of a front-on character. So like you'll use the Simpsons front-on for comic effect,
Yeah.
You'll never see Mickey Mouse front-on. You will rarely see most characters front-on. All the shots of Sonic in this trailer were mostly front-on.
Yeah, they were. They totally were.
He needs to be 3/4 front,
Put
so
him
you can see
three-quarter.
you can see his nice silhouette.
Yeah, and like that would be such a way to kind of just mitigate his fucking weird mouth and his teeth, and just everything about it is just to fucking put him in 3/4 profile, so you're not getting this weird front-on human boy melding with a Sonic the Hedgehog thing. I don't know what the hell it is, but it's just like even stuff like that would be such a normal note in like any other place. I don't know. The whole thing is fucked.
Guys, I'm gonna put an end to our Sonic the Hedgehog discussion. Ultra Studios.
Yeah, this is sad. So this is like, if you remember Echo, the game from a few years ago, Ultra Studios are the studio that made that, and it.
I'm trying to remember it.
You're the one who played it. It was the game where you play as a girl and you go in and you fight enemies, and they remember how you fought them, and they fight you back.
You're in a white lobby.
Oh,
Yeah.
that sucks.
And it has all that really lovely architecture, like locations that are all really mirrored.
Yeah, that game was beautiful.
But like today they just put a tweet out that says, "We're terribly sad to report that Ultra has ceased to exist. We are grateful to have had a chance to crystallize something truly from the heart. Echo will remain available on stores."
Oh,
So that's a pity, because like Echo had like this cool aesthetic and cool premise that you were like, wow, I can't wait to see what their next game will be.
and that's the thing. Like Echo was cool. It was a first game it's from something that could be awesome. Like I loved it, but it was one of those things where the cracks started to show after a couple of hours. But like with more time in development, who knows what they could have done? That's so disappointing. But shit one, yeah.
And we have one more story.
Oh, the Riot employee walkout. And we're gonna do this one quick because this stuff just gets so fucking draining. But this is a big deal. This was like over 150 employees stage a walkout at the Los Angeles studio of Riot Games. Like, these are the makers of League of Legends. This and the reason they're doing it is to fight the company's stance on forced arbitration. This is following the Kotaku 2018 like deep dive into the sexual harassment claims, the culture, like COOs like doing ball slaps and just fucking broness.
Those COOs are still, like, employed by the company.
Yeah, and like just kind of like you have to be a rioter in this like really weird toxic way. So then at the start of 2019, 5 current and former employees filed a lawsuit against Riot, alleging that it fosters a sexist workplace culture and it stymies like women's advancements and there isn't equal pay and all of this kind of stuff. And then in April, Riot filed a motion to force 2 of those women into private arbitration. Private arbitration is like a practice that takes complaints into an extra legal system where there's no judge and jury, which makes it harder for employees to be held accountable for any wrongdoing. It's like really shitty, like forced arbitration, and it's really shitty that they're doing this. So it's basically...
It's so weird to me that forced arbitration would ever be legal at all.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you're going to come work for us, but listen, if we fuck up, we're not like properly accountable. Like, that's bizarre.
So like this walkout happened specifically because of like, well, not specifically, there was a lot of building to it, but the forced arbitration, I think, was the kind of...
It's the tipping point.
It was the tipping point for real. And it's just kind of it's a big deal because it's the first kind of labor related walkout for a large studio such as Riot, and like, you know, like solidarity to all those involved.
Yeah.
And like
I really respect the people who did it, because that must be a frightening thing to do.
Yeah.
Like that, to like, because you know you are gonna you are pretty much saying to your bosses, I don't agree with what you're doing, and that's really impressive. And I think it's really cool that they're willing to stand up like that, and stuff like this gives me, you know, hope that like unionization will happen.
Yeah, and it's really difficult for people to band together like that.
Yeah,
like it's very easy for one person to do it, but to get everyone on the same thinking,
yeah,
and to actually like go out and do it,
so
and stick to it.
I read an article before this, and I was talking to an anonymous source from Riot, and the anonymous source said that they were not going to participate in the walkout because they were unsure of how many people would participate in the walkout. And like, I understand that as well. I understand that fear, but I think that's what makes it so impressive that these people did do it.
Yeah.
Because they were just like, okay, we're going to do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of brave people because like
yeah, and the more people who do it, you're safe in numbers. But
yeah.
I'd say the initial first few steps of those people, I'd say that was like, it is career suicide. But then when you have everyone with you, it's such a big deal.
Yeah, totally. Guys, let's say we move on to some emails.
Okay, I've got an email here.
Okay.
Because we're a bit tired. But this is a very, very good email.
Okay.
Okay, this one is from Emmett. And Emmett asks, proposes. You are a manager of Heck, a place for people not bad enough for hell, but not good enough for heaven. How would you punish the sinners? My version of Heck is you're on a shitty soap opera and you look around and everything is filmed in that weird slow frame rate.
Oh,
and like
that's
the audio
good.
And the audio, like you can't really hear people because it's kind of that's what it sounds like there. And then the music is like do 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 do. Because there's nothing wrong with that, but that's a fucking problem.
So take all of Bryan's stuff, and then my Heck is that, but it's on a cruise ship, so there's this constant
It's
like
the love
low level fear that you might be murdered or fall off, but you can't get off, and it's going to nowhere, and there's always a really bad smell, like someone shit themselves and is walking by you, and just as you're about to acclimatize to the smell, a new bad smell comes in. And they only serve shrimp, and it looks gone off.
Okay, I want to do another one because I want to do the good place. This is based on a personal fear I have, and it's whenever I go to a new bus. It's from one very odd experience where basically I was left out in a bus stop waiting for a bus in the middle of nowhere, and no one else was around, and there was no cars, and I had no way of getting there. My phone was dead. I was just at this bus stop by myself, fields for a long time, and I had to wait like an hour for this bus. But I had no real indication that time was like passing, because just nothing was happening. And it just felt like it went on forever. And since then I've always had this fear that I'm going to be at a bus stop and I'm going to be there for the rest of time. But my consciousness or perception of time is never going to kick in enough that I'm like, I need to do something about this. And so I'm always in that slightly agitated, like, emotional state of like, is the bus gonna come, or should I just... What? I'll check. Oh, my phone's out of battery. I guess I'll just wait here. And that for eternity. That is my version of heck.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
What about it's like public transport and you're jammed in there, but everyone's a little taller than you and they're not wearing shirts. So, and they're and they're sweaty and they're wet.
This sounds like a lot of concerts I've been to.
And you're your mouth's up against either a window full of condensation or some dude's back.
Oh, the condensation window any day.
And it's just a bus that's going nowhere.
And you can't see out the windows?
You can't see out the window.
Oh, that's bad.
And there's a smell of shit.
Really into that smell.
Going down to a public kitchen space and you run into the person you don't want to run into, who's like a guy who will talk to you, but he's really boring, and you're making your tea and there's never any milk for your tea and you have to talk to him.
Small talk Magoo.
That's my fear. Just having to make small talk with someone really boring.
Yeah.
Do you like sports? No, I don't watch it. Oh.
And like, they know your name, you don't know their
You're
name.
never-
So you're like, hey guy.
Gim.
And like, it's too late to ask because it's been a year.
And you call him Gim, and you can see it in his eyes that that's not his name, but he goes, hey.
And like, you ask someone else, like, what's that guy's name? And you're like, which guy? And you're like, the guy with brown hair. And they're like, that's like 10 different guys.
Or they finally tell you his name and they're like, oh, that's Ian. And then it instantly just like deletes from your mind. And you're like, no, I can't ask them what his name is again.
What else we got, Brian?
This is from Scott. It's like, hello, LFAB. I just finished listening to the cinema episode 98 and the movie stories were hilarious. Love the show as always. I recently started playing an old game, Room Factory Ties of Destiny, due to the fact that one of my friends constantly talks about how much he loves it back in the day. As I'm playing it, I find myself thinking about my friend and how much what he must have felt while he was playing it long ago. It almost feels like I'm getting to know my friend more just by playing the game that's important to him. I guess my question is to you all, have you ever experienced something like this where you felt like you were learning about a friend just by ingesting media that's important to them? Thanks for everything you do, Scott.
Huh, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very good.
I feel like getting a greater understanding of the movies that Bryan likes, especially kind of like the peak of teenage life and stuff, really helped me understand not just Bryan as a person, but Bryan as a creator and kind of what like he likes creatively.
I would also say that about Bryan. I think getting to understand Bryan's movie taste is a very telling part, because like
I like weird coming of age stuff.
Yeah, but the most fucked up movies I have ever seen are stuff Bryan's showed me.
Yeah.
Even though he's so happy-go-lucky most of the time.
I just like seeing stuff go wrong.
John, like through all his media, there's a kind of a bit of where he likes to suffer. Like he personally likes to make himself suffer in a weird way where it's like, I need to beat this, I need to better myself kind of thing. And it's kind of like
Totally.
like the games he likes really shows that. And sometimes I've been like, oh, he speaks so highly of this, and I try and play some of them. I'm like, why? Like, like this is so fucking painful. Like, why would you do? How is this fun for you? But like that kind of gave me a great understanding of just kind of John's kind of personality, and even just like that with the media he likes, like Dragon Ball and this kind of pushing through kind of blocks for
A
him.
large Brazilian man sat on me and choked me at 6 a.m. this morning.
Exactly. He likes to put himself in a
Yeah, he
position
does.
where someone will beat him. He likes to have a goal to beat something.
I remember I watched a Yu Hacker show with John. I understood him a lot better afterwards.
That's the show. Like, that's just... That show is what I am.
It's John, the animated series.
Yep.
Niamh, I guess, played Life is Strange. I kind of got her a lot better. I got to play as Niamh in a game. It puts you in someone else's shoes.
I think watching that movie, it has The Rock in it. It has Jennifer. It has Sarah Michelle Gellar. It's about
Southland Tales.
Oh, Southland.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
he understands Niamh a lot more.
Southland Tales is another
Because
weird
I kind of-
LA movie.
Because
I love that movie.
Up until that point, like, we had a lot of conversations about serious media, and then I was like, oh, Niamh's like a total fucking goofball in a good way, you know. Like I saw like a very strange side of you at that point, and I thought it was really interesting because I hadn't got that impression otherwise, and it was just like, I see.
Yeah, because you do take media very seriously, but then there's this kind of, you will let stuff slide, and you're like the complete opposite end where it's just something really goofy, and you're like, yeah, that's why it's so important.
It's like I like when things are at the extremes of spectrums. I don't like when things are in the middle. So if you're gonna go silly, go really silly. Go Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Go
The
Underworld.
Resident Evil was also a big one for like me understanding Niamh more.
And also like stuff like you liking Leon Kennedy, but I was like, but why would she like Leon Kennedy? She doesn't like guys. But then I get it. I get why you like Leon Kennedy. Because I like Leon Kennedy.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's
Kind
cool.
of.
He's
a cool dude.
Yeah, he's a bit fucked up, but that's what it's all about.
Learning that Michelle was super into murderers was very telling.
And true crime and stuff.
Just true crime and like grisly death and stuff like that. Because she's a pretty sweet person most of the time, and you wouldn't really think she'd be into that stuff. But boy, is she. Like, Michelle hears something fucked up and she'll explain it back to me in the most detail. And she's so pumped when she's explaining it back.
And it's
so
weird because it's like Michelle likes Michelle to me. Michelle likes home decor and murder.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, she's a very domestic person.
That's her, yep.
But that's where murders happen.
So yeah.
that's fun. I like having that experience with generally anything. It's hard to like kind of bring them up because it happens so much in the moment. But like, and like there's the inverse of that where you're kind of like, I think you'll like this, and you give it to someone and then they're like, nah, I didn't like that at all, and you're like, oh, I misread you. You know, like completely.
Feel so naked for a
Yeah,
second.
you're like, uh-oh, sorry. Or when someone's afraid to tell you that they didn't like the thing you liked, which I think is fine. I love when people don't like what I like because then we get to talk about it.
I don't know, Niamh.
And I get to
Hasn't been
tell
my
them
experience.
that
Oh,
they're wrong,
Niamh,
which is
Niamh.
my favorite.
Niamh will fucking tell you.
Yeah. Then she'll bring out the Notebook.
Put on the glasses.
I don't mean like the Notebook the movie. I mean a physical notebook that she has wrote her arguments against you down in.
Yes.
Oh, great question.
Yeah. Okay, 2 great emails. Do you know, we didn't even say what our email was.
It's askletsfightAboss@gmail.com.
That's askletsfightaboss@gmail.com. You have to ask us. Otherwise, we won't respond.
Yeah, we're like a genie.
Will Smith.
Will Smith, everybody. Guys, what say we move into our Patreon shoutouts? Niamh, I have a problem.
What's the problem?
I'm trying to balance my budget, and at the end of every month I have fucking like $3 left over, and nothing costs $3 exactly.
Nothing.
And so it's nothing. And so it's like, what do I do with this?
$3 can help support 3 people make nearly 3 hours of thrilling content. You went too far with that?
Yeah, absolutely. We need to rein it back in.
I know, I liked where it was going.
You can support Let's Fight a Boss on...
That's this podcast that I'm listening to right now.
on Patreon with our $3 tier that gets you access to our back catalogue.
Okay, here's the thing though. I don't want to go in on $3 and then feel bad because there's some other bigger tier above me. You know, I'm just not into that.
There isn't one.
There isn't.
What?
We only have the one tier because we didn't want to overcomplicate it.
So everyone can feel important.
Yeah. You guys want to be part of the boss rush? It's $3 a month, baby.
Yep, get into that Discord, get the secret back catalog episodes, get shoutouts.
You can add us and we will...
We'll reply like 80% of the time.
Yeah. It's patreon.com/LFAB.
That's patreon.com/LFAB. Okay, Niamh, why don't you start us off here?
This is from Orange Creamsicle. Isn't it weird how being patronizing is a bad thing, but being an LFAB patron is the best thing?
There you have it. The best thing. And I'd agree. Most of our patrons are like, this is literally the best thing I've ever done in my life.
This next one is from Mad. The world's strongest officially accredited certified licensed therapists. Tell your friends.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Take that with a grain of salt, please.
This next one is from Carl Niamh. If 3 podcasters were on the moon and one of them killed one of them with a rock while the other took selfies, would that be fucked up or what?
I don't think it would be fucked up.
See,
how about you, Niamh?
I think it's more likely than you think. You gotta eat one of them.
Yeah. Know which one's got the best tasting meat?
He's been carving his body for years.
You guys are so fucking creepy on so many levels. Jesus Christ, let's end this nightmare. Do you know what? Heck is for me is recording this goddamn podcast.
That's really mean, John.
Yeah, good.
That's an awful thing to say to your
Good,
best.
I hope it hurt. I hope you both fucking can't sleep tonight because you're thinking of me saying that.
I sleep so well after the podcast.
I sleep so badly because I'm so agitated. Oh.
You could say something kind of like awful. It's fine.
Loose drop.
All right, this is the end of the episode. We fought a boss. There's some treasure. We're gonna share it with you guys.
Some precious gifts. Niamh.
Mine is Internet Historian's video on Fallout 76.
Oh, I saw this.
Yeah,
it's a very good video. It basically just is a collection of every single grievance with the Fallout 76 game.
I really enjoyed how much depth he went into with the rum thing.
Yeah, like I was watching that rum thing happen with a few people who ordered it, and it's nice to have it all in one place in with the 76 stuff. There's a whole deal. They sold rum bottles for $80 and they were plastic and it was garbage and they couldn't even pour the rum from the bottle. Anyway, it's just like...
Just a failure on all
It's
fronts.
just like, it just catalogs the entire failure of Fallout 76. It's very good.
Okay, so... This one's a little sad. There's been a show on YouTube I've been watching for about a long time. I've been watching about 5 or 6 years, but I think they've been going a lot longer than that. And they're called GameSack. And it's these two guys, Joe and Dave, who've been making pretty much like an old school kind of retro video game show where they just like, you know, every episode has a theme, like you know, old 2D games or, you know, games with mascot characters. And Joe recently has made the decision he's going to leave GameSack and he's not going to be on it anymore. Or is it Joe or Dave? I always get them mixed up.
I don't know who's who, but he's not going to be on it full time. He'd like to come back as a guest occasionally, but he's not part of the core.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like feels a little bit like kind of end of an era kind of thing, because I've always really enjoyed these guys' videos. And what I want to loot drop is my absolute favorite series from them, which is Left in Japan, which is where they go through all these really weird games that never made it outside Japan. And their videos are really well produced. They don't use any emulation. They have the hardware and all like the custom HDMI setups for everything, and they get really good quality video footage of these games. And the two guys are just kind of like they're just simple, charming guys, and they're nice to watch. And I like to stick them on when I'm drawing and stuff. And I'm really sad that they've kind of reached the end of this journey for them, because they really have. They've both been making films together since they were kids, and sometimes they've even included like old footage of themselves from like way back when, and it's just kind of sad looking at that and seeing where it's gone. The most recent episode, they have like a little skit where Dave leaves, and it's like, it's pretty sad. It's like him turning off the light in the game room and just kind of walking out. But yeah, it's good.
Then my loot drop is a comparison video for Days Gone between the E3 2016 tech demo of which I guess was like the first big thing they really showed at Days Gone, where you're in an abandoned sawmill with the freakers chasing after you, and it was showing off all the zombie tech systems. Someone going to that location with the zombies and trying to recreate it, and it's just showing you the what you were showed 3 years ago and what you got as the final product.
Wow, because even that trailer I wasn't that impressed by.
There is so much fucking bullshit.
God.
I know we're coming up to E3 again. I need to stress, sometimes you see these gameplay demos, they are animated shorts.
Yeah, that's gonna do it for episode 99. Let's Fight a Boss Video Game Podcast.
I'm sorry we've been very weak this episode. Maybe next episode we'll get strong.
I mean, maybe.
Possibly. We'll power up to 100.